Okay.
On Tuesday. There's just an on that.
Found it.
And is that what they're talking about with
Yeah,
the quick claim release?
that's what it's described. It's still under their name, but maybe they might not have been a proper description or something. Something in the title company's having a problem. But that's. So I knew there was two pieces of property, I just didn't know which one this was.
Do you want or need any of these two pieces?
No.
The bottom half.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm gonna take this deal just tomorrow.
Okay.
I told that person to take it there. All right, let's get started. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call. Annie.
Here.
Michelle.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Jason.
Here.
Tim.
Here.
I move to adopt the agenda.
We need to add this.
You want to add that on there?
Yeah, why don't we add it to other
New
continuing business,
Other
new business,
after,
legal stuff.
after tucked together. Legal stuff.
I put the initials of BS.
Well, then my motion to include Todd's addition.
Second.
Motion to approve the agenda seconded by Jason with the change of adding legal stuff from Attorney Todd Luckman. Those in favor? Okay, passes.
I'll have to approve the minutes.
You're too quick.
I'll second that as well.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes of April 22nd by Brett, seconded by Jason. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I wondered if we should, did you get I wondered if we shouldn't put,
It's in there.
this is me,
Brandon.
Mr. Sullivan's
Letter,
letter.
it's in here.
Is it printed in the minutes?
Mhm.
No, it's-
Okay.
It's printed in the minutes.
It's the last page of the minutes. I just added his report.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, I saw that, but I didn't know that that's part of the minutes. This right here.
A lot of times when people write in a letter like that, we put it in the minutes. Not every time.
Does this entire letter get printed in the paper?
No, I don't think so. Does it?
Okay.
Will, if it's in the minutes.
But it's attached. It's not in the minutes per se, but it's attached like a added file.
Is it part of the minutes or no? Or did you just put a copy of it in the book?
I was planning on just putting a copy in the book,
Okay,
but
okay.
Todd, or is that?
That's fine. I think that's
Okay.
fine as long as you just recognize the fact that it's referencing in the minutes that this was received by the city. So we can't put it in the minutes?
And
I don't think it's technically should be put in the minutes unless it's read. He stood there and read it verbatim. He did?
Mhm.
He stood right there and held it and read it to us. That's why I thought maybe it should be. But, and is that is that recorded though, what he said?
No, not exactly.
Well, then if that was the case, I missed the fact that he read.
Should I amend the minutes to reference the addition of his
I would say in the minutes, what you have is you put,
Attached letter.
yeah, when he was up on the agenda and he talked about it, contents, contents of which he spoke are attached as attachment A. And you just mark attachment A on there, and then that's the whole minutes. It's the minutes in that document.
So do you want me to redo the minutes and present them at the next meeting?
Well, if you
or-
guys are okay with that as an amendment to your motion to approve, just
Whoever made the motion in a
Just-
second.
I don't move to the minutes.
You don't move to what? Put it in the minutes? I'd say all you gotta do
No, I'm
is,
not moving to approve the minutes now. Somebody else can. I'll take
he won't
that.
amend the ordinance to say that.
I will move to approve the minutes with the amendment and the addition of the letter.
Well, I'm gonna get procedure here. Did somebody, you moved for the minutes as they were,
Right.
but,
Which negates.
And I
seconded.
okay, but it's
But
probably
he just says-
unclear. It was unclear to you that this was added, as was gonna be included in the minutes. So you're withdrawing your motion to approve, if that's
So,
part of it. Okay.
in continuing the discussion, can we not just add at the end of Brandon's talk in the minutes at the very end, letter attached? Wouldn't that be just simple enough? Just add that phrase, letter
Yeah,
attached,
well-
not the entire letter.
And just procedurally, we've got the motion that was on the table withdrawn to approve it without that. And now we need a motion to approve with it if that's passed, if it's accepted by the body.
That is my motion. To approve the minutes with the letter added.
Pretty expensive. Go ahead. Just so you're aware.
We don't pay for minutes.
Really? Well, let's add it in there then.
That must be why we normally have
What?
letters that people bring in and read.
I thought I saw one day.
Not,
Then Bill
not
remember
for,
doing
For
not for
Okay,
minutes.
all right. Okay.
So motion made.
I will second it again.
Motion by Tim to accept the minutes of April 22nd as written with the addition of Brandon Solin's letter added to it. Seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Oh,
And those opposed? I'm
I'm
sorry.
abstaining. I wasn't present.
So am I.
And then those abstaining then. So 3 yes,
One.
1, 2, abstaining.
2 abstaining, 3 yes. Okay. Minutes passed 3-2.
I moved.
3-0-2.
I moved to approve ordinance 1519.
I've got a couple of questions on it if you guys don't.
On that 40-yard container, like, do we actually have two, or is that just a duplicate?
We actually will have 3 total charges. Those are 2 separate ones.
Okay.
So we
Check.
had it picked up and brought back 3 times.
Okay.
That's a very good year for this. Last time we talked about appropriation ordinance that had rock brought in at the dam and rock brought in by Bob Logan, Bob's backhoe service. And there was question as to what that rock was for. You guys remember that? Okay. Mike had Bob's backhoe bring in gravel to stockpile at the maintenance facility for upcoming road work repairs that we needed to have done. That's what that was for. And the one at the lake he had brought in because the dam needed gravel at the lake. Now, I did talk to Mike about that and told him that he needs to get that approved through us before he just automatically does that. So we're aware of it.
I thought it had been approved the previous year, and he had just stocked up basically later on.
I know I was trying to get it the year that the last winter that Drew was with us. I wondered if he didn't do it that year either. But that's and I want to ask about this says the final bill. April. Okay, never mind then. I'm good with that. Vestas at the very bottom of that. Okay, that answers my questions. Anybody else? Got a motion made. Anybody want to second it?
Second.
Motion by Michelle to approve appropriation ordinance 15, seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? It's a roll call vote. Annie,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
and Tim.
Yes.
Okay, next up, public concerns or comments. Anybody? Yes, go ahead.
My name's Wayne, or George Bennett, whichever you know me as. I'm wanting to I live up at 201 West Second Avenue. And I'm wanting to tear out the north end of the alley and flatten it out like the others, like down on off Main Street where Masters live, and then down on the alley going behind the businesses on the south end. Because mine on the north end is still so steep, and every time I take my camper out, I drag. Whenever the wife takes her car in, she drags. It's just, and the concrete's all busted up, and I'm just wondering what paperwork I need to do to get this started and tear it out.
Council, thoughts?
Well, first off, I apologize that it's even happening. I've been bringing this very issue up for quite a while and nothing really seems to get accomplished or done. So what you're proposing is you're going to do the work.
I'll have the work done.
You'll have the
In
work
the
done.
last 25 years that I've lived there and built the house, I've gravelled the alley 3 times myself.
Yes, I understand.
So is that what you're gonna put in, gravel? Is that what you need?
You know, I'll put a concrete apron back in, but I just, I've got Bob Logan lined up to tear the concrete out, but I have not found a concrete person yet to put concrete back. So what might happen is after Bob Logan tears it out, I put gravel in it until I find a concrete guy that's available to come and pour the concrete.
Do you have any estimates on the cost of this yet?
No, I don't. And I if the city wants to help pay for it, I'll be all for that.
That's what I'm leading up to, George.
I think
the city should have some responsibility to that. And I do believe our 1% sales tax is also supposed to contribute to alleys, streets and alleys, curbs and parks. I don't know how much money we have. Our treasurer's not here to where she can answer that question, but how soon do you think you'll get started on that?
I've got, Bobby was supposed to come today and give me an estimate on tearing it out. I'd like to do it as soon as possible.
It's not for alleys though.
Right, the 35 spent and another 5.
It's not for alleys. It's actually for I mean, I'm just saying to clarify the spending portion of that. It's for sidewalks and curbs. Just specifically, and then park was included in that when we did it. But I'm in favor of paying or helping pay. Please. Yeah.
Might I suggest Debater? That's who's been doing,
Yeah, well, I haven't been able to get.
and he is set to be here in the next couple weeks doing his projects that he has set for this year. And I know those
Well, I know
what you're
last
talking
year-
about doing was about $2,500 in concrete when he's bid it for us before.
Last year when he was down doing sidewalks at the park, I had him come and do a little slab out by my shop and then a new sidewalk there in the front of my house.
Mhm.
So I haven't been able to get a hold of him. It's either him or JD Masters. No, I haven't got a hold of either one of them yet.
Do you have Debater's number?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, George, we're willing to work with you. Will you keep us posted on progress?
Yeah.
And when you get some estimates, let us know what those are. Okay.
Bobby was supposed to come today, but evidently he got tied up. He will give me a price to tear it out, and then if I can't get a concrete guy there right away, I'm gonna have him put some gravel in it so it's still usable.
I would say we tear the deck out for them. I mean, we do other concrete work. We always do the tear out.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
And that saves cost right there.
But have you already set it up with him to do it for sure?
No, I haven't. He
Okay.
was supposed to be there today.
Oh, okay.
and I-
Did you hear what I said? So I said that when we usually do concrete work, the city tears out the concrete. So we should probably talk about it and then have the city tear it out and then pay to put it back.
Then I pay to put it back. or you
No,
pay?
the city.
Okay.
And as far as gravel goes temporarily until the concrete work gets done, we should probably cover that too. The approvals by the
Well, my role in this is I want to do the one straight across the street from
they all need them.
me. Mm-hmm. I wish I'd have known that you were going to do that one. I want the one right across from me
No, on the north end?
for the same reason.
Yeah.
So I can get my camper in and out of there
Right.
because I lost one of my jacks pulling it down there
Well, I
last year.
screwed up my
For the
distribution
subject, my
hitch
post
pulling
office
out
exit
Friday.
usually.
Okay, I need a proposal, motion.
I move to do the tear out for his alley, replace it with gravel, and then, I mean, if you'll still get the concrete guy set up, and then are we paying for the entire thing? Is that what we're saying?
I would say yes.
I thought it's,
Are you guys having city employees and
Yes.
facilities used for the proof? Okay. I want to make sure that's
So,
clear.
in other words, you're talking about having the city employees tear it out or me have Bobby Logan?
We'll have the city employees tear it out,
And replace gravel.
replace with gravel until we get concrete. But if you can get us the bid for the concrete, then we can cover that. I don't think I can put that into the motion right now without a price bid, so, but if you can come back with the bid, we can approve that as well.
Okay.
So I move to have employees tear it out and replace with gravel for
I
the
think it
intro.
would be more cost effective to have Bobby Logan tear it out.
Can you get us a bid for it then?
Yes.
Okay,
I think it would be more cost efficient. Because Bobby has the equipment to do it. And
Be
the
done
equipment holds
right
it.
away.
Huh?
And it'll be done
Yeah.
right away.
So you're
if you can bring the bids back, then we can pass that properly. Otherwise, I can't
Right.
put a shot in the dark.
So if I go ahead and get it started and in the works and then bring back bids for the,
Well, I guess it depends what you mean by get it started. If I think they're saying if you're wanting it torn out by Mr. Logan and put gravel in, then we need a bid that you would propose to have that done.
okay, so if I bring bid in, say tomorrow,
No. Yeah.
then I
Next-
gotta wait till the next meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you're wanting to get it done and you're willing to eat some cost, you can absolutely do that. Because you may end up eating costs, is what I'm saying. Because I don't have a guarantee that we'll pass it the next.
Right.
But I think we're all up for helping at the very least, but also covering it.
At least.
Okay.
So I guess I'll strike my motion since he's gonna get bid instead.
Don't worry.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, Dylan,
My name's Dylan Wines. Last year about this time, I submitted a bid to do all the stumps and dead trees out at the lake. You guys said you'd take a year and plan for the cost, and then we talk about it again the next year. So I'm back with the same bid to go and remove all the stumps, and I've got a few different options for you guys. I've got the bid here.
Bring them up here. I want papers.
So I did a few different options of it for you so that you can see, like, if you just want to have the stumps down at the campsites done, I can have those done by this weekend. That way for Labor Day, it's all clean and good to go, or Memorial Day. But if you want to go ahead and do the same thing we had discussed, because I walked through it with Terry and looked at all the stumps they had out there, and I think there were roughly 28 in total. There were a few around the area that were small, but it's exact same bid I gave you guys last year. I just basically replied to it and said I was going to redo it again. I just added in the addition. If you wanted to only do part of it, I could do part of it now, have it done for next weekend, and then I can come back and do the rest at a time when there's less campers.
when you and I looked at that, there were only 2 trees that needed to be cut down at that time, right?
Correct.
And now there's like 7 or 8.
I kind of figured if
Because
there's more, then we can, I mean,
They're diseased.
I can work with you to get a lot of those cut down. And if there's a place where we can set the trees out there to go burn them, I can cut down all you want. I can have the trees even hauled away this weekend probably.
Well, I will tell you that I had an arborist come out from K-State, and she's been doing this for over 22 years. And she said there's no problem with burning them. I know some people were concerned about some of the bugs that
Right.
were diseased in there, but she said that particular diseases that they have, the bugs are not going to be a problem unless we leave the stump there until throughout the winter. And then in the following spring, they will come out of whatever stump is left, and then they'll be looking for a new home.
Okay.
So my thought was, and I don't know how Julie would feel about that, but my thought was that at that time was we cut the trees down and leave the wood for campers to use, or for Julie to have at the bait house to do with what she does. So as far as getting rid of them, there's a possibility we can reuse it.
I mean, I can haul splitter and saw out there, and I can go cut, split everything, put it down on each of the sites, or all for Julie, or however you want to do it. Julie, we could even set it up there and you could sell it as firewood for campers.
I have firewood inside.
You have what?
I have firewood for sale inside that I buy that.
This would be free,
Yeah.
and you can sell it,
And it helped
I
recoup
just
some of the cost of cutting trees down.
or it could in that respect. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'll take the grinder out there with me as soon as I cut them down. I can redo the quote for whatever trees you want down. I have to go look at them obviously and see. That way I'm not hitting anything when I cut them down. But as far as the stumps that I know they have to mow around right now, and that's what all the city is complaining about previously, was when they're out there mowing, they have to go around the 15 or 20 stumps that are right there along the water. I can have those out by this weekend.
Council.
I'm out of it.
In my opinion, I'd rather cut the stumps down and then plant a new little tree there with a cage around it. So that we got something coming up in its place.
I could probably do that. too.
That's a good idea, Julie, of replanting the trees. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Question is, what kind of tree do you want to put out there?
And maintenance for
That's my
trees.
use for that.
Okay, we can discuss that later. Ideas on that. You want me to go out with Dylan to the lake and look at these trees and see what he comes up with an offer, or do you want something else to take place?
Well, I'm not opposed to the idea of getting the stumps and the campsites out now, so that we don't have to mess with mowing around those and get that stuff cleaned up. If this is something that we were already looking at doing last year, and then we can work on the trees that need to be removed and come up with a quote for that.
And the trees and the pines that need to be removed should be removed before summer.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind.
There's like 9.
So yeah,
Well, what I was gonna say is if you want, I can go out there and we can try to get it. I probably won't have it done in 2 weekends, obviously, because we won't have another meeting before then, but I can get it done as soon as possible.
Sure.
And have those trees done also.
Okay, are you available? You available this week to go out there with me?
This week I work odd shifts. I'm working midnight to about noon. Let me follow up with you tomorrow and I'll let you know about what time I'll be back.
Okay,
So like right in the middle of the night for me at the moment.
yeah, that's okay. All right. All right, I'll get with you on that, and then we can present it to the council.
But as far as doing the stumps then, is that,
I don't know if they're gonna go for that right yet.
sorry, okay.
What do you guys want to do? Want to wait until we get the full bid or what?
I'm fine with removing this now. For all right.
so I would like to make a motion that we go ahead and remove the stumps in the campsite area now, and then wait a bit for the remaining.
Remaining tree removal.
Yeah, remaining tree removal.
Okay, so he's got 2 bids in here, basically. 28 stumps at $19.50, 28 stumps and 2 dead trees for $22.50. I don't think you can beat removing 2 trees for $300. That's pretty cheap.
Yeah, sorry.
So your motion be to accept that second bid.
So yeah, I'll make my motion to accept the second bid.
Okay, all right.
Are you good with that? I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion to accept the second option for removing 28 stumps and 2 dead trees by Alan Wines. Seconded by Annie. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed and abstained. Okay. You got it.
Thank you all, appreciate your time.
Thank you, gentlemen.
On that note, though, I think we need to, before we have them do anything else, get other bids as well instead of just going with one person.
Yeah, we
Just
could
an
have,
idea.
well, we could have done that tonight too. Could have. But that's okay.
Well, everybody's in a hurry.
I don't think we did.
Nobody wants to work, so Michelle.
Okay.
Bids for flash. I got
That's
bids for 2 trees out of a yard in Omaha, and it was $3,000 for just those
Okay,
trees.
moving
They
on,
weren't taking-
department reports, Robin. Anybody know if Robin's in the building?
She was.
Robin!
I heard.
Then I'm here.
I was gonna ask if we could table the lake stuff till for the lake meeting next winter in 2 weeks.
I think George is here.
Mr. Brown is here,
Oh,
so
Mr. Brown, hello, Mr. Brown. Okay, we can do it.
What were you wanting to say? Why were you wanting to table it? Were you able to make it out there?
Yeah, I didn't get out there. I have a picture. I'm not ready. And really, don't we have a lake meeting?
We were talking about it today. I was actually gonna mention it, but we can do whatever's on the agenda.
Well, he's here so we can hear him and
That's
then we
okay,
can
that's fine.
do the rest of it.
I don't think it's-
Okay, so at the last meeting, 367, we transferred that to the Lugers? Didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
So we had to have
We talked
that.
about the tree and there's, they wanted me to.
Are they here?
The 2 owns the property now. So,
The Lugers.
okay.
George Brown is here, but he's the former owner.
But from the picture, it looks like they did the work.
They did. They did the work, but they were asking for a waiver. We added one additional fee, which was for the sidewalk, is that correct?
Yes.
And they were asking for a waiver for the sidewalk.
has anybody on the council been out there looking at that property since the last meeting?
I'm not.
No, I didn't know you did.
Michelle, did you go out? Have you looked at Brad? Have you? I went out
No.
there. I went out
I'm
and talked to
familiar
Mr. and
with
Mrs.
it, but
Brown.
no, I didn't go out.
So is the claim that the stakes were removed? Is that what the idea is? Is that?
No,
The wind blew the stakes, and so they had to put them back so they could be off a couple inches or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, you get the survey for a reason. If the stakes need to be reset, the surveyor can do that.
I might add the stakes where they are. We did our survey. We're not near where they were in 2008 when we built the house. And so I don't know, go by surveys all you want. But
they changed. Is that what you're saying?
it's about 6 feet off. One survey to another. And if somebody wants to do another $1,500 to have them go out and guess again, no idea. Which I think that's what they do, they guess.
No,
And then the
Carol,
other
I'm finding
issue.
2 pigs.
I went out there and talked to Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and I looked at the property in question. And if anybody had seen it, they may or may not agree with me on that, but you can just barely tell where the sidewalk even went across the line if you were to draw a straight line from stake to stake. Not any more so than what that corner post is off that deck.
That's true.
Would you agree with
I
that?
would agree with that. Mhm.
But it is on our property.
Well, so's a corner post, but you let that one slide.
It was let slide.
But that's irrelevant.
Well,
And the other issue was the dead tree,
Mhm.
and it is dead.
yeah, the trees are dead, definitely.
Yeah, I wanted to clear that up too, because we had some questions about that last time. Maybe it wasn't clear about city's responsibility for the group level. Try to answer that.
That's next.
Okay.
Both the same thing.
I'd like to hear it now.
Now,
Okay, yeah, I guess it just wasn't Look back up the exception. Now, this is the Kansas Tort Claims Act. There's exceptions. Basically, this means that when is the city liable for certain activities on its property? And there's two exceptions that are applicable here. This is 756104, subsection A 15. Any claim for injuries resulting from the use of any public property intended or permitted to be used as a park, playground, or open area for recreational purposes, unless the governmental entity or employee thereof is guilty of gross and wanton negligence, approximately causing such injury. And the other one is 16, the natural condition of any unimproved public property of the governmental entity. So my interpretation of both of those is that if you either have a park or recreation area, the city is only liable for gross and wanton negligence, which would be the situation that I probably talked about. If the city knows of a tree that is diseased and falling over and is in danger of damaging or harming people or property, that's could be argued to be gross and wanton negligence. It probably doesn't, it's probably a stretch to say, approximately causing such injury, meaning did the lack of inspection, lack of action result in the injury approximately. That is a fraught legal question, meaning if it's caused by wind, if it's caused by somebody running into it, if it's caused by shoreline degrading instead of whatever, then that could be the approximate cause. So it'd be very difficult for somebody to prove that tree. But again, that's one of those things, discretion. You may wish to avoid even that possibility. The other is condition of unimproved property. I think that's probably an argument as well, in the sense that, as you guys have it, as your ownership is concerned, it's not improved. The owners improve it in some aspects, but they aren't doing it on your behalf. They're doing it on their own behalf. So that's the long and short of it, is that I think in very limited circumstances, the city could be liable in a period of gross negligence. But that doesn't mean that you guys don't want to do whatever you want to do. It's just, that's the liability side. Does that make sense?
So my question is this tree included in the two that we've already approved maintenance for, or would this be possibly included? I'll speak English tomorrow. Possibly included in the upcoming bid for tree removal.
This is not included.
This tree is not at all
In that
included
bid.
on that piece of paper.
Okay. So is this one that might be included in the next bid?
No, because the bid they're discussing for wines, what's the first name, Dylan,
Yeah.
to do is the camping
Pines.
side.
Just around the camping.
Yeah. So this
Campsite,
would be
and there was some
housing.
up by the
And the
steakhouse.
camp and the bait shop, the funds that we make from
All the
bait
ones
shop
that were
we
on
pay
our side of
for
the
that.
lake.
Okay.
The other side, you have, once you start doing this, I mean, if you've
Pandora's
been
box.
around the lake,
Right.
there's probably hundreds of trees that need cut down, and everybody's gonna want their tree cut down. And where's the funds gonna come from? Because we did cut down, like I said at the last meeting, we cut down a tree at this property a few years ago, which was $3,000. So by what we charge for a dock fee, we're waiting 30 years to make a profit off that.
Just to break even.
Right.
Well, now, I'm being extreme, I understand, but the other way that could handle this is you just rope off the area and say you can't use anything that's underneath that tree, because the tree might fall on it, which means his dock, isn't there a shed there also? Yes, that's absurd. We're not going to do that because he wants to be able to use his dock. So it kind of falls on both of us.
I mean, if it does end up falling on his dock, are they liable for the damage to the dock? No, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that those exceptions would apply.
Okay.
I mean, I just don't want to cut you off from.
It's a dead tree.
That
We can.
maybe somebody would feel bad about it. Or somebody was injured.
Great. Is that all?
I don't know what else I can say.
There are
Here, Michelle,
multiple
this one.
huge dead trees on the north shoreline around the lake.
Don't mind all the pictures. That's
Lean
a
towards
great
my-
hazard. So they tuck right down.
Never
That's
addressed it.
That's the fish out of the bottom. And
Well, I think the first question is that he's asking, is the gravel problem resolved because they removed the gravel? So is that a yes?
Yes.
We can move on.
Where'd the gravel go?
I don't know where it all,
But not into the lake.
Nope, Jim hauled
Yeah,
it off
not
and
in
then
the lake.
somebody wanted to buy some gravel, so it worked out great for him.
There you go.
He hauled it off
It's
and
on this
sold it to
end.
somebody else.
And he's requesting reconsideration of the sidewalk fee. It sounds like what, a few inches of the sidewalk may go into easement. Is that what's happening
Yes,
with
right.
this
he doesn't.
conversation?
That's a dead tree.
At the
what-
last meeting,
That's
you
what it
say
appeared
that
like to me.
the sidewalk only
It's a
went
few
over a
inches.
few
Yeah,
inches.
The picture kind of tell. I mean,
And we're charging for the sidewalk, or we just added the charge to the
Right.
sidewalk when they sold it?
They did add it when they sold it.
Thank you.
Which we-
And this
Can I have one of
technically,
those,
it
Jason?
doesn't go to easement, it goes into your property.
Yeah, well, those-
Did I say easement?
Yeah.
Sorry. Into lakefront property. Like,
Yeah, so
Oh,
the ownership, yes, the ownership is full in fee.
he's sick.
this part,
Hmm.
the corner?
Oh, oh. Oh,
So it'll give us.
Yeah, that's from last meeting.
So here's their survey. So it's this. See, because here's the line.
Yeah.
And then this is this over here, that little corner is what we forgave at the last meeting. It
Mhm.
goes over right there.
Right here. That's what we forgave.
It's on the side or it's on the front there? Must be on the front, I guess.
Was it his corner?
So the last meeting, didn't we say we'll forgive the corner, but we're
If-
counting the sidewalk?
if
And now we're
we're-
coming back saying we forgive the sidewalk?
If we're
Yes.
forgiving that corner because it's just barely crossing it, then your line's not even correct, at least from the angle of this. Because look at that corner.
Well,
You've got like the
These have
whole thing in there.
blown over, and they had to reset them themselves.
But if you
so
look
they're
at
not
this,
exact.
this is the corner we forgave. Wouldn't that be more like that? That's how I,
Not by this survey. This is the actual survey.
that's that stone corner.
This is
That's the corner of the deck.
This is the corner of the deck that we forgave right there.
Right.
This is what we were charging for because that's much more substantial.
Oh, good.
See the corner?
Okay. My point of view, that looks like most of that sidewalk is on our property.
That's what it looks like to me.
On whose property?
On ours.
On ours.
Then y'all need to look at it then.
Did you see the
He's got
survey?
He's got the real survey right there.
That's a picture of the last one, right?
Yeah, that's
That's the
from the
picture of
last
the
meeting.
last one.
That's what we got the last meeting.
And you're talking about this. I'm talking about this little, right here, is that what he's talking about? This section right here? Okay, there's no way there's that much, that sidewalk is across the line. If you look at the full survey, as a matter of fact, the
But
west, the
that's
east,
what we're requiring.
the east
that's
side, the east side property line is longer than the west side property line. So I don't know if that makes a difference either. If they were the same length, it definitely would not be.
So
longer.
is
I
this,
don't know if those are.
so is this an accurate? Is that what we're saying?
Well,
This is not accurate? This is what we made a judgment on. That's
I understand that. And I physically went out there mainly to look at the trees that were on the property of his and Tom Blue's, the neighbor. And I looked at that while I was out there and just looking between the two stakes. I can't see it. I can't see where that sidewalk is encroaching on our property as much as it appears to be on that. And that's just a hand drawing anyway, except for the lines. Who drew the sidewalk lines in there?
Wasn't a licensed survey? I mean, he's a surveyor with a, who put his, I mean, he's licensed.
And I trust that more than these sticks poking in the ground.
What property is this at? 360.
377 Lakeshore Drive.
So did you guys already move to add this last time? The
Yes,
sidewalk?
we forgave the corner and added that structure. And then told them to remove the fire pit or pay for it and remove the gravel. They removed the gravel and the fire pit.
I know the gravel was fairly new. How long had the fire pit been there? Any
Matter?
I just wonder how many years they got away with something like property without paying. But you're right, it's irrelevant. I might as well.
You guys moving to Rossville, George?
Pardon?
You guys moving to Rossville?
So, and like this is the old ownership. He's not gonna be the one paying it. It'll be the new.
I have to trust the survey.
Ditto.
What are you finding, John?
I didn't find, I mean, I was just looking to see if the GIS would have some explanation with a lot of four square, where the lines are different. I can't get anything on my internet here, so
I think all the lots out there are polygons. Triangles, circles.
I mean, the survey, the whole survey. There's 100.37 feet on the north line, and it looks like 100.33 on the south line, so.
Almost identical.
Yeah.
I should have reset it myself.
No kidding.
So I guess
Slightly.
you're getting this. So we want to table it for the next meeting like Robin wanted.
Yeah, I mean, let's, I guess, do that. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have.
Agreed.
That looks a little different than this.
it's table. I would like to look at the
Oh,
tree as well. I
I'm thinking
just
the wrong
don't,
side.
I mean,
No,
I
it's
wouldn't
not.
cut down a tree in the easement
It's
in
just
front of my
like this.
house, even if it was pointing at my house, but I'd come and complain about it and make you guys do it. So I don't understand why the hesitation. I get that we cannot afford to cut down every dead tree at the lake, and a lot of people, I think, take that upon themselves anyway. But it's our property, that's how I see it.
So we'll share the cost with.
Share costs would be great. I guess that would be with the
But
new
you see, like,
owners.
when the fee that we charge is not even applicable to what we're gonna be charged to cut down one tree. and there could
It's
be
maintenance of a
15.
property. And I understand that's frustrating.
I
but
just asked
we're
that we
trying
really
to work on
consider
that.
that when we talk about fee raising.
We've raised the
in the fall.
fees. I didn't actually
Not
go against the,
substantially
well,
enough.
not to bankrupt everybody, but yeah,
Not bad.
So I move we table this
I didn't
to our next
I
meeting.
just-
Second.
1,000% or anything.
And what are we looking for at the next meeting on this? We table it.
So take a look at it, I guess.
Give us a chance to look at it and kind of, I guess, make a more informed decision.
And this is on the fee waiver one,
Yes.
okay?
I don't, well, mine isn't the thing, mine is to go look at the tree.
I like
Because, I mean,
Tree and fee.
I still believe that.
Tree and fee.
I mean, he's a licensed survey person.
So are you tabling both the fee and the tree?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's all included together, correct?
No, they're separate.
Yeah, let's keep them separate.
Okay. Then I will make two motions, or you can make.
I'll move the table the tree.
well, let's do the first one. Let's get the first one out of the way. Motion made to table 367 Lakeshore Drive, fee waiver till the next meeting, which would be, well, we haven't decided
We haven't
that yet.
decided,
That's-
but let's just say
that-
next.
Yeah, that's Memorial Day, so we're not gonna be in here on that day, correct?
Oh, there we-
So we're gonna do Tuesday or Wednesday that week.
Who moved to table?
I did.
Justin or Jason.
You're doing
I'll
the
be
tree.
busy Tuesday.
Yeah, Justin.
Just.
Just put the table till next meeting and leave it there.
Yeah.
We don't have to set the date right now. Just say next meeting.
Get enough time?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, motion made by Jason to table 367 Lakeshore Drive,
Thanks for
fee
making that
waiver to the
motion.
next meeting,
Next regular.
meeting,
I'm voting against it.
and seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion?
Yes, I say that, whether we go out there and look at it or not, I'm not a surveyor. I'm gonna have to trust what the survey shows. So I think that we have the information we need. That's my comment.
Anybody else?
Agreed.
Okay, those in favor of tabling it? And those opposed? Table till the next regular scheduled meeting by a vote of 3-2. Okay, now the tree.
I'll move the table the tree for the next meeting. What's the date? Again, Kelly?
Get another date.
Till the next meeting.
Till the next-
Next regular meeting.
Date to be decided.
Second.
Thank you.
A motion by Brett to table 367 Lakeshore Drive, tree,
Yes.
seconded by Jason to the next scheduled regular meeting. Any further discussion? Those in favor? That passes 5-0. 67 Lakeview Circle.
They just had a question in regards to the reserve space they have. Right, Kelly?
Yes. So, yes,
Do they want reimbursed? Is that correct?
no.
Okay.
She says that they have been paying for this reserved dock space and they are going to be selling their property. So her question was, number one, is the reserved dock space able to be transferred?
I say no.
So I know that this was brought up previously at meetings and it was decided that it could be transferred. But I wanted, I know it's been questioned, I wanted clarification. And the second would be, if the moratorium, is ever lifted, would the new owners be able to build a dock? Another dock?
Another dock or just the first dock?
Well, I believe isn't there a second dock? There is another dock on that property. They have a dock and the reserve dock space, correct?
Correct.
Yes,
But not two dogs.
right. One standard dock and a reserve dock space.
Correct.
You
Do
could
you-
never,
do you know-
you could never say that
But the dock that
the
way.
council may not get mine from you. Yeah.
So it has a cabin with the place?
Yes, there's one house or cabin. It pays for a standard dock and a reserve dock space.
Well, to me, that place wouldn't ever be able to build a dock even if there was a moratorium because they already have one. So
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that.
they can't. I mean, you can only have one dock per habitable structure, and that's been for years now.
Plus, you
So.
could, I mean, theoretically, they could transfer the reserve rights to somebody else. Right? If the moratorium was off, they could transfer it.
my personal feeling is I like them being able to transfer the reservation because we're still getting dock fees for an open space. I understand why they're paying it, and I understand why they would want to continue paying it. But in our efforts to keep
Yeah,
one
that's
dock
nice.
per structure, I don't see a dock being built by the same guy.
Do you see the property?
It's a cabin.
No, I just asked him if he saw it because that's the same property that always has problem letting second tier people walk to get to their docks.
Oh, really?
We've had big issues with that house.
But they're selling it, right? Is
They
that-
are
is that
they
what
are
this is all
selling
about?
it.
I can imagine they've got the dock reserve space
So
because they didn't want another dock going in there. That's the other option for people
Okay,
who do
yeah,
that.
they're blocking out.
They're blocking
Mhm.
space, not actually building. So if they're okay paying the fee, knowing that we'll never let them have a second dock, that's the purpose of paying the fee in the first place, is to keep the space.
So to clarify, they sell their place, they can transfer the dock and the reserve dock space, but the new people buying are not going to ever be able to build a dock in that space. They would just be paying to make
guess
sure nothing goes up in the
We're
future.
providing them the
correct?
option, or they can stop paying.
Or they
Or
could
they can
transfer,
stop.
they may
Okay.
be able to transfer it to some third party.
I'd like to remove the word dock from what they're transferring. They get one dock and one space.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't drop the word dock off of there.
I think it's written into our,
That it all changes when they transfer.
I just mean it's written into our stuff, isn't it? Reserve fees.
Yeah, there's like
There's a little bit in
not even
there.
a dozen.
But that's my
Oh,
point, is
no.
now's the
Like
time to
4.
address
I
it.
think we're at 3 at this point.
And they're one of the three.
Yes.
Tell you what,
3 reserve dock spaces that are paid for.
I'd be curious to know if those other people only have a dock as well as their space, because then I don't know.
I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other.
So
If they
that's
wanna
what I'll
transfer it to
let
their-
them know, that the reserve dock space can be transferred, but no new dock would be able to be built by those new owners, since there's already a dock there, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Even if we lifted the dock moratorium, they would still not be able to build a second dock.
Right,
period.
okay.
So,
good point to make.
yes, because people need to know that even if that goes away, that's not an option. 2 docks is no longer an option to add. So we're okay with leaving that, right? Good? We can move on?
Good.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Beach sand.
Well, Roman had this that on her list, but yeah, I think it was me.
Well, either, yeah.
Yeah,
That- yeah.
but we need some. The sand, the rain, and through the winter or whatever, the snow and stuff. That fill rock that they put in underneath the sand.
And
has-
swallowed it up.
Yes, some of it.
So,
I mean,
Especially on
it's
the-
not
in the
terrible,
corner, this is-
terrible, but it does need, another skin
Another
coating
layer.
of.
Fresh coat.
Yeah, I need the fresh coat of sand. It'd be nice to have, before Memorial Day.
so this is something that I spoke to Mike about, and we would need to have like Bob's
back up.
backhoe,
Mhm.
who's done it previously. Do you guys want us to?
How much sand are we talking about? Any
That's what we
idea?
need to know, how much.
Yeah,
And it needs a couple of inches on it, so.
I don't know what
This
a load of sand
much?
costs.
I don't know, probably
Yeah.
at least, how many loads on it did Bob put on it when we built a new dock?
well, I don't know if you can go with that.
Was
Oh,
it-
that was.
because-
Oh, I'm asking her how many that was.
It was like
Like 3 big truckfuls, right?
at least, yeah.
I think maybe one
One,
of those big truckfuls.
but what's that cost? We need to approve a dollar amount, not a truck.
So I looked at the past couple of years or past few years of what you guys paid him to do sand at the beach. Last year was the big one,
Mhm.
which was big. In July of 22, you guys paid him about $425. I don't know how much sand he did at that
That wasn't
time.
very much sand.
wasn't,
That was
and-
like a pile,
Yeah,
a small
And
pile.
then
Yeah, it was
in
Remember
May,
that?
yes, I,
How much was it
Chunky
last
out.
year's? How much was last year's?
$7,487.
So if we need a third of that, roughly
Couple thousand.
2,000 plus.
So in 2019, we paid 1,350. I don't know if it was a bigger job then, if you guys remember, but
It was
that's
eroding,
what we
so.
paid.
yeah, that was a big.
Yeah, that was all washing into the drain.
Yeah,
I would say,
1,500.
yeah, move up to 1,500, and if he only needs one load and that's 800, great.
I agree. I'll second it.
But it can't. So
I didn't hear
was
a
just saying,
motion.
he's not gonna be able to haul too much anyway because it will be over top of that concrete and washing into the lake. So it really is only like 2, maybe an inch.
right.
Throw some cheap toys on top and let the kids spread it out.
That didn't work well for the last pilot.
No, it
season.
No, it did not.
All
I
right,
did the last job.
repeat the motion, please. Who made it?
I did.
What was it? What was it?
I moved to approve $1,500 for sand,
Up to
up to
15.
1,500 at the beach.
And second.
Second.
All right. Motion by Brett to approve up to $1,500 for beach sand, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? Those in favor? That motion passes 5-0.
Who's gonna spread it?
Bob usually does with his Bobcat, that's why they have him, he has that truck.
That's why he's doing it.
Okay, Clay?
Good evening. Got 5 nice new pictures, but we had printer issues. They would not print. We tried 3 different times and they wouldn't print. So
That's on the agenda.
it is. So I'll let you just pass this around. Swipe to the left and you'll see these are today. And obviously Deb's gonna speak, but I think she has gotten from where I can't say from where we started other than looking at the pictures from before, but from where I got involved to now, it's dramatically different. It's dramatically better. Is it perfect? No, probably not. But I guess the short answer there is I think I would urge, let's put this one to bed. It's been almost 2 years. If it gets, if it slides south and gets worse, then we address it then. But I think she's made substantial progress. So, Deb?
He's not here.
I do have a few more things to do. I know I do, but it doesn't cooperate go well. I did get the trailers lined up.
How are you feeling? Up and moving around good?
Not really. The weather is killing me.
Yeah.
Me don't want to work when it rains. But I work a little and then rest a little. I do have a question though. I have that tree you guys took down a year ago. Was it a year ago?
Year or so, yeah. There's 2 trees in your neighborhood that we took down.
Yeah. Well, the stump sticks up. So I've got a huge spot there. Is there any way you can take that out? I have tried to burn it out, but it won't stay lit. It's still pretty green.
I thought they were ground down to the ground level when they were cut down.
But I'd like to take that hump out of there because it's a pain to mow. I weed eat that whole section right there because of that.
Council?
But I'll just keep trying to burn it.
I have a question. Do you have permits for the building that you put in there?
I don't have to have one because it's not. checked into that.
Is that right, Tom? Building on a skid, does it have to have a permit or not?
I don't know. I wouldn't.
From 3 meetings ago, when we had the discussion about what was required, where we ended up with, and you guys correct me if I'm misstating it, but what we said then was basically any structure would require a permit. Now, that was after what anything that she did there, but I believe that was the discussion that we had. Does that ring true with everybody's memory?
That was mine. That's why I asked.
It's not, I mean, it's a zoning question, it's a county issue. Building permits, I'm not sure who manages building permits here for the city. You guys have a
The
permit
council.
application?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay. You have
And
a
if it-
permit application?
I know of several people that have done it with skids underneath that have not put in permits, I'm pretty sure.
Because you think it's because it's not on a foundation?
Right, because it's
So
not
it's not a
firmly
permit.
It's like
attached.
the ones that, even the ones that are on skids needed one. If I'm wrong, I'll accept that.
This has been the argument since I've been here. I've heard this back and
Right.
forth, and that's why during that meeting, he brought it up for clarification, and
Michelle, did you-
it was agreed
You
that
got an
any
application.
any building structure needed
Is yours on
a
screen?
permit
So I can't
application.
remember.
Did you hear what she said, Brett?
What?
Did you hear what she said?
No, but I heard what I asked Michelle, which is what I wanted to hear.
I missed it. What was it? Sorry to make you repeat it, but I think what she said was important.
That since I've been here, this has been a discussion back and forth that had no real answer. So that is why Clay brought it up a few meetings ago and had you guys clarify what requires a building permit. And it was stated that any structure requires a building permit and needs to come before the council.
Okay.
I know we did just discuss that recently.
I
I'm just
knew.
saying in past times, I feel like people have definitely done it without the permit. We've allowed that.
And I've certainly
Have
heard
we
that
allowed
from
Yes.
Or has it just
folks.
happened?
I think
There's nobody's gone around.
that,
Correct.
Policed it.
I couldn't tell you for sure. I can't tell you what I had for breakfast yesterday, Tom, but I can tell you probably discussed it previously and had a completely different answer then. So,
Well, I got that building of mine, what, 4 years ago, maybe? And I had to submit an application for a permit.
Yeah, that's 4210.
so are we asking her to rectify the situation? I realize it's in retrospect, but we should just submit a permit.
Yeah.
Application. Could you do that for your shed?
Sure.
Thanks.
I don't think anybody here at the table is going to tell you to get that off your property.
No,
I just want to keep it official.
Right.
So that your
At
neighbor
the
doesn't
time
pull
when
one
we
in.
talked
And their
about
neighbor.
it, that I was told I didn't have to have one. It was just gonna be.
By the council?
No, it wasn't council,
Okay.
it was other people that have put them on.
uh-huh.
And
That happens at the lake.
and they
Yeah.
were told that
Do I
they
need to
didn't
make
have
a
to have
motion?
one. No, it was downtown.
I'm saying that happens at the lake
Do I
where
need to
people
make
put a
motion
fire
to
ring
release
because
this
their neighbor
house?
put a fire ring
Yeah,
and their neighbor put a fire
You
ring.
gotta close, he's wanting to close out the
That was
actual
only-
violation. The lack of permit wasn't in the original.
Right.
Correct.
I'm not
So
worried
you're
about
not
But
changing.
I had to get one for my building.
So we're closing it.
The motion has been made to do that.
I move to close 314 East First Street.
Second,
Okay, a motion to close the 314 East First Street blighted property by Annie, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
I will keep plugging away at it.
We appreciate it. Yes.
Is that 5-0?
Yes.
Now we got a few that could come right back on that I've seen.
you let her.
Okay, Kelly, you're up.
Just a couple of things. Oh, and Mr. Brown left. A question that came up was, Jan and George Brown inherited 362. So they were wondering, do they need to go through the whole transfer process, or is it automatic with an inheritance?
It's, oh, wow, that's a great question.
Is this-
Actually,
Do they have a
Well-
dock with the next property? Do they still have a dock with the second property?
I don't know that they're purchasing in Lake Wabunsee. They just sold their property.
No, I thought the second house, the house they inherited, I thought was out the lake as well.
Oh, sorry, yes. And I thought.
Does it
I'm
have a dock?
Going in too many
It's
different
not on
places.
the front.
Good
I was
question.
just
I
out
want to
there and I
say
don't remember
yes.
looking for a dock. I
this is awesome.
I want to say yes, and I can check,
Okay.
but I'm.
Well, that's information we would need to know to even press this issue in the first place.
Well, there's more than just
Wait,
that.
no, I'm sorry. They do have a dock. That's why we're asking about the transfer.
Okay, that's what I'm
Yes.
asking.
Okay, so this is how that works. If it's a transfer on death deed or a non-probate transfer of some kind, which could probably only be a pay on death deed, which means the deed says, if I die, then it goes to these people.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that doesn't require a transfer because the deed's already on file.
They're already basically listed as.
Or they were added
They're
before.
or if they were joint tenants.
So probably not.
So if it goes into an estate, the estate becomes the owner of the property. Now, I don't think we're going to require the estate to become a transferee, but the estate eventually is going to either transfer to an heir or they're going to sell it. At that point, they would be considered a transferee. Right? Because in the ownership chain in an estate, person dies, it's just in their name, it goes to their estate. Their estate becomes an entity. That entity has the right to do a bunch of stuff, could sell it, could transfer it to family. So at that point, that would be where the transfer would occur.
So as long as
in
it was
short-
inherited directly.
Well, no, there's no inheritance in the sense of a transfer on death or joint tenancy. That's what the dividing line is. If it's contained within the deed says transfer on death or joint tenant. That's not an inheritance. That's a direct transfer.
Right.
I see.
In my mind, and that means there was no transfer.
So in short, no. Done.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know.
So the answer is it depends on how the properties were deeded.
Yeah.
If their names were already on the property, then there's no transfer because they're already the owners. of the
Okay.
property.
Or if it was
That I
pay on death.
understand.
So they should be able to produce to
Transfer on
you
death.
a pay on death deed or a joint tenancy deed. It's just 2 slips of paper. Boom. If that's what they got, then it's not a transfer. If it's anything else, they're going through an estate, and the state's got to eventually come here to get it transferred.
Okay, I understand that now. All right.
It's the law.
Next is about, we had spoke at the last meeting. I requested to be allowed to get some pricing on replacing the copier. I got pricing for a Canon lease, a trade-in with a lease agreement, and then prices, 2 different prices, one for a printer all-in-one, and then this for a printer and scanner separate. So if you guys would take a look at those, and maybe by next meeting,
Is the Colgan another bid or is that separate?
so the Canon lease is directly through Canon.
Yeah.
And then the Culligan, he gave me 2 different bids, 2 different options.
Okay.
Have you seen either machine or just pictures of them?
Just pictures.
Which one do you like?
What's your preference, Kevin?
Yeah, you're gonna be using it the most.
Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I was actually originally leaning towards us just buying a Canon printer, the all-in-one outright.
Mhm.
And then the expense is basically just the ink, or the toner, which can be expensive, but I broke out the cost for you guys. Because the only problem is if we do have issues, we're going to have to pay somebody to come and service it. Now, I don't think that you're going to have that problem for years down the road, and it may just make sense, you know, to keep it and replace it in 10 years when it starts having problems. The Canon lease, you know, that all the service is free, but you're paying a lot more by paying per copy, black and white.
But we
So-
don't pay like toner.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yes.
so instead of paying toner, we're paying per copy, basically. And
Right.
They, okay.
And I broke out the average cost. So, I mean, we still, I think, are paying more for a lease. We don't have that, we don't copy that much for that big of a machine, I don't believe. So if I was the one making the decision, I would probably go with the Canon printer all in one. There you go.
And purchase it outright.
Purchase outright. Mm-hmm.
But does that take into account the cost of repair or maintenance?
Is that still 13 cents per copy? Is that
No. Mm-mm.
Did anybody else come in and use the copier for anything?
I bought 2 copies one day for $1.
We ever copy stuff for out of play.
Yeah, it's minimal.
Copy
It's
The
parts
park.
it's
the hardcore
basically
copies.
right. The park council members, occasional person comes in and needs a couple of copies here and there. Very minimal.
I lean towards leasing only because I know that the technology for printers like gets pushed out every like 6 months to a year. So like they start outmoding parts very quickly. That's my only.
As soon as it's delivered, it's outdated.
Yeah, and toner's worse than the printer.
Well, we are still using the printer. I have the service technician coming again tomorrow to try to fix some of the issues that we're having. Currently, it's connecting to the computer right now with no problems. So, do you want to table this and you guys have time to think about it and look at the quotes?
Sure. I'll move to table it till the next meeting.
Second.
Okay, a motion to copy your decision to the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Don't like that, Tim?
No, I want to make a decision.
I don't see why we can't make one, but
How long
Tabling
have
is
you
gonna
looked
be-
at these options before setting down here?
I've studied them extensively earlier today and yesterday.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm the one who pulled out the 13 cents per copy without even going to how I saw it.
From the
I
back
can't
of
find
the
it on this piece of paper. I know I saw it.
Yeah, it's on the Canon proposal one.
I used to service copiers, so I knew a little bit more about them going into the thing.
So since you
I
did look at
understand.
it, what is your opinion?
I'm a fan of the lease. I'm not a big proponent of buying it outright because who's going to work on it when we need it worked on, and the parts are going to. When you lease it, the parts are included, correct?
Correct.
So
Yeah,
is the toner.
repairs.
And all you gotta do is call that guy and he'll come out here at his nearest convenience. I like that gig.
The one thing I'll say, and that is one of the reasons that I was hesitant to say buy outright, is the one thing I will say about the lease is the price per copies does go up. It's not going to stay at this 0.01 for black and white and 0.04409 for a color, because currently we are paying higher than that. Instead of 0.04409 for for colors, we're currently paying 0.112637. It doesn't sound like much, it just adds up. So right now it'll make a lot of sense, but that's something to think about down the road. You guys will be in the lease, so again, any machine is going to be great for me, better than what I'm dealing with now.
Something functional. How many copies does the park board make? What color? Aren't they all color?
They're all color, but I only do 10 for flyers around town.
Is that it?
I do mailings occasionally, but that's hundreds.
Rare.
Yeah, that's once a year, maybe. Twice
So
tops.
that's an insignificant amount.
Not gonna affect the bottom line here, no.
We did have a motion to table it and a second, did we not?
We did.
Any further discussion? Those in favor of tabling it? Those opposed?
Oh, are we opposing?
We are now.
Oh, sorry guys, didn't catch up to that.
So we're not gonna table it, then that motion failed. That motion failed. Is there a new motion to be made?
All right, start spitting it out. Lisa, bye. What do you guys think?
I think Reese
I'm leaning Lisa
said my
too.
speak, so.
Just make
I'm not
this-
convinced either way, so we need a third one to be convincing for a number.
Well,
just
first the
saying.
motion.
Lease.
I would go for a lease.
Don't go off your
There you
motion.
go. You got
What,
it.
on a printer? I hope we can manage this without emotion.
I think the only one who's emotional about this decision is Kelly. Because she's tired of dealing with that.
Let's get her upgraded. I know the price will go up, but hey, maybe if we upgrade again, they'll drop it again. I don't know. We'll just watch it, I guess.
So who's making a motion?
I moved to lease a new printer through Canon. I imagine I don't even.
Awesome.
These bids are confusing right now.
Is that clear from you what you're doing?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't clear to me.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay. Motion by
You're
Annie
confusing
motion made by Annie to approve the purchase through lease of a new copier, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Okay. You got it, Kelly.
All right. Okay, and wanted to let you guys know that our workers' comp audit was done, which is completed, which is done every year. And this year we got $583 back. We got credited back money, and that's because we were down an employee. Mercury Wireless, I've contacted them about going out to the bait shop, getting the phone and internet. I've called them twice. They tell me that they are getting something set up and will get back with me. I don't have an install time yet, but it is in the works.
And we currently use them here at City Hall too.
Mhm. We use them, we already used them in 2 places. And we had 1 remaining. So
Mhm.
bait shop is where we're going to get it, because they're the ones that need it the most.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that's actually like hardline or just like a Wi-Fi hotspot?
No, it's gonna be a phone and internet there,
Oh, okay.
from what I understand, yeah. Just like we
I thought
had
they gave us
here.
3 hotspots.
So we're gonna have a guest internet and a bait shop internet? Cause right now we have a guest internet that's an unsecured. And then we have the bait shop one that is a secured line.
I don't know the answer to that. But once I hear back from the technician that's gonna be doing it, I'll get all the details. So you definitely need 2 different, you need the secured and you definitely need guest. Okay, I'll make sure that that's available.
Yeah.
Okay.
I sent you guys a notice that we received about Wabunsee County zoning meeting for a conditional use permit on July 18th at 7 p.m. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. I forwarded an employee application that we received to you guys. You guys received that. Oh, the garden club. I spoke to the garden club about their event on June 15th where they'll be at the park. And there was a little bit of a concern about parking at the park because that's also when the farmers market is going to be taking place. So they were going to see about telling people that they can park here on Main Street and then they're going to have a bus to bring them down to the park. and just wanted to make sure that wasn't going to be an issue.
Shouldn't be. Saturdays are usually pretty
Right.
dead on Main Street, so
Okay.
daytime, right?
Mhm.
I'm not speaking for everybody.
No, it should be.
All right. And the only other thing was I wanted to mention that the next meeting date falls on Memorial Day, so we needed to
Yes.
find out about changing it.
Are we
And that's
bumping it to Tuesday, or are we going?
For Tuesday or Wednesday.
Would
Well,
not
the
be,
last time we did this, we just skipped a meeting. Right?
No, last time was around Christmas, and
Yeah.
we had that meeting.
I don't think
What
we
meeting
I
skipped
did
it.
not want it.
I don't think we skipped a meeting since I've been here.
No.
We've added a few.
Yeah.
I would not be able to be here on the 28th if that makes a difference.
What day is that?
That's
That's a
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I would say the 29th.
My kids' balls.
I'm much more available on the 29th.
I'm available on the 29th as well.
What day
Is that Wednesday?
That's
you
a
said?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
That's two. Need a third one.
I'm checking. No,
Michelle.
I got a ball game that night. 5:29.
Yes, but I'll have to do it by phone.
Okay.
I can try. If we're doing that.
Okay. Need a motion. Don't be shy.
The motion is to adjourn the regular meeting scheduled to be on May 27th to May 29th.
Seconded by you as well, Todd. Making a motion, you have to second it as well.
I move to do that.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion by Tim to move the May 27th meeting to May 29th. Seconded by Jason. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Okay. That passes. May
In my
29th.
defense, I was being kind.
Yes, May 29th. Gotcha. And would you please notify Mr. Brown of that?
I tried to put him at the top. We need to chill on the department reports or
I think
something.
he was the only one
They
that
shouldn't be up there. They should
Was
be
in there
down in the
for
normal
tabling.
minutes.
to the next
So they
meeting.
need to move.
Okay.
I'll bring that up at the end.
Okay. Are you, anything else, Kelly?
That's it for me.
Okay, next up, Kramer Consulting. Are they here?
No.
No.
No. So I received NOAC's pay request and the invoice for Kramer Consulting from Kramer Consulting. And they're asking for the council to review these pay apps and authorize them to submit them to KDOT for payment, which then KDOT will send the payment to us. Once we receive the payment, we will pay out to the engineer and NOAC.
I move to authorize Kramer Consulting to forward the bill on to KDOT.
I second.
Okay,
I'd say both statements, their bill and the pay apps.
Okay, then I will edit my motion for what Todd said.
I will still speak.
okay, motion by Tim to advise Kramer to submit the bids for both Kramer and Novak, whatever that is, and get them paid by the state, seconded by Annie. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Okay.
Okay, I invited Brett. He's fallen asleep in the back by now, I'm sure. You can come up. They can't hear you very well back there on the camera. You pick a corner. It doesn't matter which
This
space
corner,
you're doing.
Yeah.
I'll be talking behind her. That's all right.
Why don't you go over there so she doesn't?
I'm talking behind you.
You're
That's
fine.
all right.
Your name's Brett, so we
Yes.
got something in common.
That's right.
My name is Brett Wagner. I'm a partner in a company called Governmental Assistance Services. We are grant writers and grant administrators. We're based out of Lawrence. We help a lot of communities, mostly in Northeast Kansas, with grant writing, grant administration, loan applications, income surveys, and environmental reviews. That's most of what we do. I met with Annie a couple weeks ago and the members of her park committee,
Whatever you want to call it.
the group of people who are working on the park. And we talked about a potential CDBG application this year for a park project.
A lot of times the park projects are not quite as far along as you all are with your park project. So there's a couple steps that need to be taken. Some of them are already kind of partway through those steps. It would require that the architect develop a preliminary architecture report. Even though she's already kind of came up with a plan, this is just something that's required by CDBG for their application. The city itself is not eligible for a CDBG grant without an income survey, which is something I know Annie had mentioned was done in the past.
Yeah, the LMI is what he's
Yeah, the
talking
low to
about.
moderate income survey, that would need to be redone. Annie indicated that maybe that was something you guys did on your own last time. So I said, if that's something you want to do, I can make the form for you and going. Most of the time what we find is if someone has qualified for a grant in the past after doing an income survey, as long as it wasn't, just in the nick over 51%, most of the time they'll qualify again if you do one. It's just it's kind of a silly exercise that they make you go through, but unfortunately that's the way the rules still are right now. So that's something you all would have to do. In addition to why I'm here is to ask you to consider hiring us to write a CDBG grant. I prepared a contract that I brought along with me. I know Todd's seen our contracts before, so I would ask that he look at it before you approve it. Our company charges $8,950 to submit a CDBG grant application. That gets us to do everything all the way from project development all the way through the submission of the application. We have a clause in our contracts that say that if your grant is submitted and not awarded, we'll do it for free the next year, or we'll do it for free the year after that, as long as the project doesn't substantially change. So if you want to do a park improvements project and it doesn't get awarded this year, you can't say, you want to do a street project or a pool project or something that's way different than what we had done before. What we do with that, with a project that doesn't get awarded, is we go to CDBG, we get feedback on the application, find out what they didn't like about it, and get that fixed up. Not everybody who applies for a grant gets one every year. It's a competitive process. So every year there's winners and every year there's losers. Sometimes we win a lot of them. Every once in a while we lose a few of them. So no one can stand up here and guarantee you that you're going to get a grant. Although I would say with the momentum that you have for your park project and all the things that you've done in the past there, that it is a very good candidate to get a grant. With that, I guess really I would just open it to questions. I know you guys have been through a lot already tonight, and there's still more to come. So I don't want to take up too much of your time.
One of the points that you made to us that I felt was great was that you had about a 90% success rate. I mean, I know that's subjective. And then 99% on a second submission, outside one weird outlier, but
Nortonville. Nortonville took 3 tries.
It's because Josh lived
there.
Yeah. So I was really interested in that information. I will say, because I probably haven't shared that enough, I guess, is that the park board itself has about $85,000 to put towards this grant. I will probably ask for assistance from the city. I don't have a number right now, so I'm not going to say one, but nowhere near the 85,000. Obviously, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm going to try to round out the 100 and then maybe a little bit extra for the fees, because Brett's fee would not be covered, and the architectural preliminary report is not covered under the grant. So those 2 fees would be upfront and not reimbursed. I did get a quote from Dee Dee, and it was about $4,000, I think, even. So that's the other number that we're looking at spending ahead of. That one has to happen. Obviously, we can make a decision on grant writer. Not that we're like, I want you to be our grant writer. But I don't know. You guys have any questions for Brett? This is something I don't have a specific project for. Basically, when Dee Dee looks at the master plan that we've built, she's going to bid out each single item, and then we're going to try to fit whatever we can underneath it. Dee Dee is the architect who made our master plan that's tacked up on the wall out there.
Okay.
Dee Dee Brokish. Yes, I don't know why my brain just was like, whoop. She's a DRB. No. What's the name of it?
I think it's DRB.
It's it? No.
Dee Dee Brokish?
Brokish, yeah. Brokesh.
Okay.
And her husband's an engineer, so they're a team.
Oh, great. My son and his wife are architects.
Are they? She's a landscape architect, so she's actually like very, I guess, a very good choice for doing the park itself.
She's detail oriented.
She's very detail oriented. She's got some really creative solutions, so I'm hoping we can try to fit as much. I guess for like a broad spectrum, the bathroom, we're gonna resurface that ice skating rink into a pavilion space so we can put a pavilion roof on it. I'm hoping that fits in there, but that's a really big project, so that might be the one thing that ends up being bumped. I don't know. Arch bridges for the stream bed, redoing the tennis court. Obviously, the mulch would be included in this because we're using that grant money in this grant, so it has to be. So at the very least, rubber mulch replacement, mulch, or even better, turf or pour and play surfacing. I had her bid all that. And then picnic facilities and stuff like that. So electrical, yes, but
Rip
that's rip wrap in the stream. Yeah, it's a long list. But she's gonna get us the prices is basically it. And then we'll figure out what we can actually go for.
So the most important step is building that budget and getting to where you all are comfortable with the matching funds that are required.
Yeah.
You're eligible for up to a $650,000 grant, but in order to get a $650,000 grant, you'd have to provide a minimum match of $217,000. And so the amount of grant really depends on the amount of match that you put in. It goes down in that same ratio from there. Basically get $3 for every dollar you put in if
Right.
you do a 25% match.
If we rounded to 100,000, we would get 300,000 in match. And that does include some of the administrative fees, so it's not going to be entirely stuff. But
So we don't really sit back and let the engineers and architects tell us what's going to happen. That's the park board. We let the professionals tell you what they think it's going to cost. Those are always estimates. Sometimes they're wrong. Sometimes they're close to right. It's not an exact science. But then we can build a budget from there and get to where, whatever you decide the matching funds are, that's where we'll build the budget at. The scope and the cost. And then I've provided a timeline. I brought more copies of that tonight too.
thank you. I forgot that one.
I updated it with all the different dates that we talked about at our meeting. And it gets us towards a application that would be submitted before September 30th.
Pass it over. Todd, this is the contract. There's 2 copies of it.
And while you're looking at that, I would say that the quote for $4,000 for the preliminary report is very in line with what we see with other projects too.
That's what I was thinking. I know she's given us that bid before too,
Yeah.
so I don't think she's actually changed the price much, which is
Sure.
great.
That's
So,
really nice.
this is obviously something to chew on, but we do need to start kind of making decisions in order to get this rolling because it's due September 30th.
And we're going to submit early,
Yes.
not on the last day.
Do you guys have any questions?
What is everybody thinking?
I like it. I think the improvements to the park have already paid dividends for the city, so.
Specifically,
You read it already?
you're okay with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to pass it by our grant writer too and see what I have to say. Okay.
Cool.
This will be this coming Friday.
I look forward to seeing how much each individual project is going to boil down to for the cost.
Okay.
I'd like to know what the ideas are behind each one. But that's supposed to happen anyway, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean by ideas?
But-
Well, the designs, what.
So for the architectural preliminary before the grant application, it's not really specific down to like what it looks like. That's what we'd actually decide after the grant was approved. But we do have that really nice design, and I can give you sample of what I have in mind or what the board has in mind, and we can go through that piece by piece if you would like. I'm always open to discuss what we're planning or what we're hoping to do and what we really can't do realistically, because there's a few things on it that we can't do.
Yeah. I think I could expand on that a little bit for the purposes of the application and the preliminary report that goes with the application. What an architect or engineer will do is just say, whatever, 1,000 square feet of cushioned playground surface, and it won't necessarily be like the exact color, the exact pattern, or the layout. Or maybe they'll say, a 30-foot by 15-foot picnic shelter with picnic table on a concrete slab. So they don't get into the real details of, is it wooden post? Is it metal post? Does it have a composite roof? Does it have metal roofing? That kind of thing. They leave it pretty general. That way, when you do get the grant and it comes time for that architect to put together the plans and specs, then you bid it out. You can bid it out with different material alternates. You can put some of the things as the base bid of your project and then list some of your wish list items as alternates in case I know it hasn't happened for a long time, but in case bids come in under your budget, you could add some things. But then also, if bids come in over your budget, there will be some line items that you can remove from that budget too.
And I guess to clarify too, I'm hoping that we use JS and Brett for this application as opposed to Holly. And I love Holly. I think she does a great job, and I'm very happy to work with her in future. But she's only done 2 CDBGs. She's not had any experience with the LMI. And Brett's actually willing to help, kind of walk us through it so that we can do that ourselves for zero cost. He's not doing that as an expense. Because obviously this is his job all day long. He does this constantly. Go back and forth between when you ask a question of the CDBG group, they will sometimes refer you to the writers, and he's one of those people that can answer those questions. So I feel more comfortable with the experience, even though there's a fee in this situation, going this route to have a more sure bet, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So you're wanting the city to pay that fee, or is the park board going to pay that fee?
In the end, it's going to all kind of go into a pot. And we're paying our $85,000 and we're going to ask the city for money. Yes. So I don't know how you want to look at it, if you want to look at it that way or not, but yes, that's how it would be.
I think the main thing is the contract itself is a fee to it. You're talking about the money that would be the match.
I'm sorry, what are you asking?
I'm asking, he's saying who pays for what. I was saying,
right.
This contract says the city's paying
$8,950.
Right.
And that's number one. That's what we're talking about, right? You're talking about.
He's asking, yes, we would be paying. Yeah, I would be asking for additional funds in order to pay the fees. Yes. But I'm also putting in $85,000 to do this grant.
Okay.
I don't care whose pot it comes out of, because we've frequently reimbursed the city for things that they've paid out of pocket.
Well, the pot it would come out of would be the sales tax pot, because it's part of the park, right?
I guess that just takes away from sidewalks for everywhere in town, in my opinion.
Well, that's what that money was for: sidewalks, parks, and curbs and
yes,
whatnot,
and we
right?
sold an entire building. I feel like those general funds could also be shared. And I'm not asking for the entire general fund that we got from selling that building. I'm asking for a portion.
I think half is.
I'm not asking. I'm not asking tonight to be
Haven't they already
clear.
gotten half?
Haven't
One
they?
more.
Who?
Who's
The
there?
park,
They
Half
gotten
of what?
half of what? Who?
that amount, that dollar amount.
No.
We haven't
From
gotten
the
that
city?
From the city?
We've received less than 40,000, I would estimate, from the city.
That's about half, almost.
Less than that, though.
But none of that came out of the sale of the apartments, though.
No, my point is that much money has gone towards the park.
Mhm.
From the sales tax?
From the
Well,
city's park.
From
Or
the
the
city,
city's park.
not from the sales tax.
From the city.
Just from general-
40,000.
general
You're
fund.
talking about. I can't even think of 40,000.
I think we asked for some additional funds to finish the bandstand because COVID prices shut that up more than the.
But how much has the park?
But
board
we
spent
actually
in the park,
paid for
which is
the 10% match of that. So
volunteered raising of money.
yeah, we can
What's
argue
that
that all
number?
day long. I haven't given you even a number, and I'm not asking for half of that pot. I'm just saying if we continue to take money from that 1% sales tax, we cannot then spend it on the sidewalks that it's intended for. And I don't want to take all that money. I want it to go to the city, Main Street and other streets. So that's where my argument comes in. I'm not actually trying to take money from that pot for the park only. I want it to be around town. I'd love my kids to have a sidewalk everywhere they walk. So, to be clear. But yes, that's what I'm proposing right now. That's why I've had Brett come and attend and present, because I think he would be an excellent choice. And yes, I would need the council to be on board with that. So I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions for Brett while he's here? Because he actually has a long drive home, so I don't want him getting stuck.
That's no big deal.
I don't have any, I
I
mean,
don't either.
Tim, have you got any?
I'm pro it just for the sense that you have his accuracy rate of getting them.
Yeah, I think just the help we'll get and doing even our side of it is going to be massive. I think we'll probably have to mull it over and discuss again, but I appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much for presenting.
Absolutely. It sounds like you all are meeting again on the 29th. If you think I should be here, just let me know.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Tough Together. Anybody here for that? I believe I sent them an email and told them they'd have a better shot if they'd come down and explain it in person what they're doing.
My only concern would be the last time we had the football tournament,
They did say they'd have insurance.
and insurance responsibilities from the last one. Does anybody remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
That's my only
I think they had
concern. If there's no problem with that,
an
then
injury.
I'm all for it.
It did say they'd have all the necessary permits, insurance requirements, and guidelines for the city, which should be done. But I don't have.
I didn't look at that very closely. Where are they gonna be at?
At the same place that the wiffle ball tournament used to be held at the lake,
By Julie's place across the way.
by the barracks.
It's still on city property.
It's still on
Yes.
city property.
Didn't we usually allow those people to camp out there in tents right there?
No, I don't think they stayed.
We did not.
No. They would host next.
So as long as there's not going to be an insurance,
To present the paperwork that shows that they've got the insurance and things.
That would be a bad idea.
so I guess table it and have them come back. So
Either that or you can do it conditionally.
okay.
Approve it conditional upon presenting the city with a certificate of liability insurance and appropriate permits.
Okay. Also move.
I'll second.
Okay,
And
any
it's
further
kind of a bummer
discussion?
it's not coming to us anymore. Because that fundraising was for local stuff,
Right.
but
What did it take to somebody to run it?
I mean, in this case, they're just trying to use the same idea and do it for a different purpose.
So we could have another one.
I think they just kind of didn't want to go down that road still because they had that issue last year.
And they did it for almost a decade, I would say.
Yeah,
Close to.
They did a great job.
they're swapping it for a different fundraiser.
Mhm.
That's my discussion.
Okay, any further discussion? Those, let's see, Annie made the
I
motion.
did. Annie
Brett?
seconded.
Okay, Brett made the motion. Annie seconded. And those in favor? Okay, that passes. That's a conditional one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The insurance and permits required first.
It's time for Todd's legal minute.
Yep, legal minute. The mayor's whim.
I'm ready.
All right. Well, the first thing you did was hand me this,
Mhm.
came in. What it is this quitclaim deed from the Eskridge Housing Authority to the ostensible owners of the apartments. Apparently, they're going to sell them at an auction. Which we don't have.
Nice,
Obviously,
fine.
Huh?
I don't want to buy them.
Well, I don't think what's there, but
Heavens.
I know, but they've produced us a quitclaim deed, and the reason is, from what I can tell, is I don't know if you can tell from that map over there, but there is the lot line on the west side going down to kind of the south side has a 25 foot wide lot on the very edge of the property. They don't say this in this email or anything, but the title company, I mean, right now, the company that owns the apartments owns that lot, the 25-foot wide strip. They don't say as much, but the title company said they need a quitclaim deed from the Eskridge Housing Authority for that 25-foot property. I mean, you guys don't approve this. This is a housing authority. The only one who can approve this is the housing authority itself. So my guess is that in the transfer of the property, in the original sale, somehow there's a title exception that's coming up in the documentation that was presented and filed of record with the county. A quitclaim deed just means that whatever interest you have is transferred to the party you're transferring it to. So in this case, it doesn't mean that Eskridge Housing Authority has anything of value or has an interest in property. Just saying whatever we have, we're giving to this SE Top development. So, I mean, they don't really say that, but arguably this would be something that they would present to you guys if they were just cleaning a title problem.
Well, I'm going to suggest you give that to the president of the housing authority then.
Okay.
Oh, it'd be you, wouldn't it, Brad?
Thanks.
Anytime.
Okay.
But the only thing the only other thing would be is to check the actual documentation, ask the title company directly what the deal is. Why they need this. I mean, it's probably a quick call, and I'm sure they would probably tell you. Second legal thing, there's more. There's more.
I thought it was a legal minute.
It was legal stuff.
Way past a minute.
Stuff. Okay. I'm going to take long with this with you guys. This is just, it's a memorandum that I prepared, an informational thing. This is something I give out to all my cities. Don't charge anything for it. It's just information. You don't have to read it now. You can save it till you're all nestled in your bed and you're ready for sleep, and you can read.
Yeah, that's when I
the words.
Yeah, right.
It's a good way to help you.
So you can't
Same
finish
should
it
be
for
the
a week.
last thing on my mind.
Yep.
Okay.
So, well, I just an informational thing. If you have any questions about it, you can let me know next meeting or something like that.
Okay.
Third thing and last thing, water contract number 1 and associated. I talked to Mike. The first question was whether increasing from 60 gallons per
To 75.
to 70 gallons per day to 75 was a problem. He said, yeah, it's a concern. Right now, he said, you're rated to go 350,000 gallons per day. He said that's that's an extreme. You can't run it 24/7, 350. You could probably run it at 300. 3 contracts you have obligate you right now to 273,000 gallons per day. That's wholesale contracts. It doesn't count what the city uses itself. So right now, you're probably at the 300,000. Now, what that means is you're obligated under contract. It doesn't mean he's selling that. It doesn't mean he's producing that. It just means that well, the way the contracts are written, if they call up and all 3 of them call up and say, we need max right now, technically under contract, you got to deliver the 273 gallons per day, 273,000 gallons per day. And if you can't, then you're in breach. So you kind of that's like your max level, and you got to use that as your guiding star here. So you don't, in the story, you got, if you give them the extra 15, you're up to 288,000 gallons per day, which is 12 for everybody else, which isn't gonna work.
No.
So the other side of it is that as you may recall, I think, and I'm not gonna put words in their mouth, but LWID has come to you guys before and wanted to renegotiate the contract. And I don't think they use their amount, which is, they've got the max amount of 108,000 gallons per day. They're the biggest contract you have total. But that doesn't mean that you give them all that. It's just that's their max. And what you do in these circumstances is go to them and you reduce their total take. And I'm sure they'll want to discuss other matters.
We had talked about that before during peak season of the summertime when everybody's out there vacationing, running all the water. They can't guarantee. I mean, they could be going over the amount right now, and we're not even knowing it because we didn't have any way to really objectively read it to monitor that. So in the peak times, they said that they could be going over right now, and we just have no idea. But in the low times of the year, like the winter and stuff, of course, you're going to hardly have any usage out there, so it's going to go under. But
We're not metering their water. How do we?
Do you remember how that went, Tim?
Not that anybody's gonna ask me, but yeah, we're metering.
I'll ask you, Jim, are we metering?
How did
you remember the conversation?
So we know
We don't
what they're taking.
monitor it when it's maxing, when it's peaking or something like that. Do you know, Jim, when it's being close to the peak?
No, I can tell you according to what I make in a day, what the system's using. And I know that in the hot parts of the summer, we hit 300,000+ gallons a day. So we're already pushing the plant some days almost 24 hours a day, which doesn't allow us to backwash. And if we can't backwash, you will not have a plant.
So, I mean, I think this is just preliminary to the fact that, I mean, somewhere it's got to give to get the 15,000 extra, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. If that's really a stickler for them to get the extra 15.
They need to do that for a grant, right?
Well, they're getting USDA funding for system improvements, which requires they have a 40-year contract with us.
What they want is to increase their limit for their new contract.
I know all that. I was just saying that's the reason they're asking for the limit increase.
Well,
USDA is agreeing.
The reason is because they have to have a new contract.
Yeah.
They're asking for an increase to update their contract.
No, I think it's a minimum requirement for the USDA is that 15,000.
No.
Is it? No, I
I
wouldn't
thought
think so.
that's what it was. Then why do we need to say anything at all?
Well, because they're taking the opportunity. They need a 40-year contract. Whatever it says.
So we're in the
They
process
have
of
to guarantee-
renegotiating a contract. They're asking us for an extra 15,000.
No, I understand all that. I thought the 15,000 was mandatory for the USDA, and that's why we had this sticking point anyway. Because otherwise, we don't have to do anything. We can always. I mean, it's a 40-year contract, I realize, but can't we negotiate?
Yeah, and I think we can say, we could say to them, we can't give you 15 more right now.
Right.
And the answer could be just that's too much of an ask.
I thought it was because of the grant or the USDA funding. Yes.
And the other thing to mention is the way that the contract calculation is done for the rate, it doesn't have any amounts for reasonable reserve or anything extra. So I think that would be something that you would normally address. I guess that's the question for Kelly maybe is, do you guys have a breakdown for these contracts of what your cost of chemicals, your cost of insurance, cost of everything?
Yes.
Okay. Well, is there any way somebody can give me a sample one that you have?
Yeah.
For a couple months? Okay. Well, I'd use that to model a new format to get you guys a little bit better.
Make money, more money.
Yes.
To build a reserve, yes.
Yes. That would be the idea. To recover all costs and yet obtain some for reasonable reserve.
Because we're going to need to build a new water plant.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I do believe that Mike's talked about that. Is that not correct, Jim?
Do what?
Building a new water plant.
Yeah, the plant we have is over 50 years old.
Yeah.
It's not gonna make it 40 more years for their contract anyway.
So that's something to consider, and I'm thinking 5 years, maybe tops before that gets started. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
Better be.
Yeah, better be, yeah.
It's a have to have soon.
Yeah, and that's part of what you do is maybe you go all the way around and say, tell WID and this, and you guys gauge your own water sales amounts because it's got to get, that reserve's got to be get built up. And probably what you do is the same thing in some ways that they're doing water at Wabunsee 1 is for the USDA loan to build it because you're not doing anything you're going to do. Surface water is going to be $5 million starting out. That's your 80. So that was just to give you, I'll talk to John Law and tell him that. And that's our kind of our hard thing to work with, but we're going to maybe see what LWID wanted to do. If they're willing to give up, but still, it's got to be real.
We can guarantee it. I'm gonna have to go back and read this minutes and look.
You're still thinking.
There was a reason there for how we couldn't do it, and there was a way that LWID was going to be able to go over, and we wouldn't be able to monitor it, which means we were the ones getting screwed.
Yeah, I think probably the answer is that you couldn't.
They'll still pay it in the end. We just wouldn't be able to.
In a period of a month, if they took a max, they took a lot. You
No, we
couldn't
don't.
say
They'd pay the meter.
you didn't shut them off at 108.
Right.
They could go
35.
to 125. Not that they wouldn't pay for it.
Right.
Yeah, it's
It's
paid.
just they'd
It's just
exceed
that
or-
they'd exceed, and our plant would be working harder than it should be. That's the
And
problem.
may overwork
Yes.
to the point where it fails.
No, I'm still remembering something different. This has been 6-7 years
Yeah, it's
ago
been
when
a long time.
LWID came in,
Mhm.
so
I
quite a
don't, I
while.
don't remember how it went either, Brad, but I do remember there was some weird glitch.
Something was going to hold
Something
us.
in the matrix.
Yes, we were going to be the ones being in the hole
Okay. Well,
potentially,
yeah.
and the other ones not.
the warning or the danger is in our scope, so we'll move forward carefully. And that's the stuff.
Okay, moving on. Y'all had in your package, you should have something on clothing allowance. And looking at the cities, I'm assuming that those were the closest ones we could find in size to Eskridge, maybe, huh?
Mhm.
They're all bigger than we are by at least several hundred people.
Well,
I don't know
Well,
about several
Howard's
hundred.
563.
Howard's only 563, Waverly's 574.
What's our population?
Four
Or
20.
something. The
500. Plus
population
the
I
lake.
put on these is
Well,
in
that's right. I
parentheses.
gotta count the lake.
The lake.
Yeah.
We do
Population's
the lake,
what's in parentheses here.
so it's not actually that crazy. We're like Spearville because we do lake metering as well and maintenance and the water plant and a lot of stuff over there. So
This is just one fact, though, out of many
Spearfield's
other
double
things
our-
that could play into factor.
our Eskridge
Double our
population.
population.
But we also serve a larger community than Eskridge because we have gas in other communities all the way to Allen. What's gas?
We don't know the other benefits these.
Admire.
This is strictly, I reached
We're
out
just
to and
talking
asked
about
what
clothing
other
allowance.
these are third class cities like we are. Cities of the third class, which is the lower populations. I asked what they offered their employees for, if they offered uniform service or if they offered clothing allowance. These were the ones that were closest. You'll see Howard is, population is 563, all the way up to Carbondale, which says it's 1.3 thousand. And this is what they offer their employees.
Did you talk to any of the towns in Muncie County?
I reached out to all of the clerks, and these are the ones that responded to me.
Unfortunately, I've done the same thing, not on this subject, but with Wabunsee County offices, and they don't respond.
You have to almost call them and get them on the phone for stuff. I've gotten a couple, but they're not really comparable, some of them, because we offer things they don't. So it's hard to get across the board comparison, not on this, obviously, but wages and benefits.
I'm still for not giving it. Like, if we want to provide T-shirts that say the city of Eskridge or whatever shirts that we require them to wear, that's one thing. But
I
buying
think jeans is reasonable because they do ruin jeans frequently with the stuff that the chemicals they work with, the heavy labor on the mowing and weed eating and stuff.
In shoes.
And shoes, I mean, shoes would be a great buy that they could start adding because they have
And even
the ability to spend that money.
I'm in favor of them having winter clothing that they're comfortable in when they're out in the cold too. So I don't have a problem with paying a clothing allowance.
Well, like you pointed out, Andy, I'd like to know what the other cities are offering for their wages and benefits. I mean, are they getting?
Well, when I
equal-
brought wages to the table, everybody said, well, I'd like to know what the benefits are. So it's like a nonstop door rotation when we talk about this stuff. At some point, we have to make a decision based on our city. This is a nice picture. It helps us see.
So Kelly, tell us again, what were we paying for the uniform allowance to pay?
1,800 a year, I think, was
Yeah.
the number. 1897, if my brain really stuck it, but it doesn't
So,
always do that.
well, even if we gave our employees $500 a year, as an example, there's 3 full-time employees, that's 1,500. We're still saving money from what we were paying on the other side.
300 a year is half the price tag.
What
And
is-
honestly, this
what
is
300.
300
Oh,
a year.
Half that. Yeah. Give or take.
500 is great. In my opinion,
250 would be for 500, not 300.
Yes.
or split the difference. I don't
300
care.
is half of what we spent on whatever that company was. I can't think of the name right now. That's what I'm saying, not half of the 500. The 3 employees.
And you want to make an allowance for part-timers?
Not really. In my opinion, just because we rotate part-timers quite a bit. I mean, I know Robin's probably sticking around, and we can change that if you want, because she's got 2 different part-time jobs through the city. But
Well, it
our
could be-
mowers typically go
It could be an as-needed to situation.
maybe, I don't know. But
I know as a public officer, she probably has something, and same with Clay, something that identifies them as public officers.
That would be nice.
that's a fair point. I didn't think about the identification part of that. We're
And,
on
and
Gene topic.
that could be a vest,
Yeah.
and we just wouldn't provide it.
Use a little target symbol on the back.
No, I like Clay.
No,
Yeah, let's.
And Robin.
And Robin, and Robin.
We're not trying to get rid of any.
No,
What do you guys think?
I think
I think we could talking about a rotating shoe allowance, 400 every other year, an additional 100 on every other year, and see how that goes, and make sure that provides them with enough gear, saves the city a little bit of money, and then if that's not enough, we reevaluate it.
and yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we
we have to
haven't even
reevaluate in
gonna
2 years
buy
because the
much of
council
anything.
would change in 2 years.
Yeah,
They'll reevaluate everything.
So reevaluate it in 2 years.
does that sound good?
300 high.
It doesn't buy a
lot of
whole lot.
clothes. No.
190 doesn't buy a whole lot of nothing either.
Where are you getting 190?
Just throwing out the current dock fee.
No,
Just saying. 190 sure don't buy a whole lot either.
That's still lake fun.
you guys
money.
really ought to consider, I know it's a different, it's going off the side, but the lake fee, you really need to consider leasing the property as a whole picture. Not
Yeah.
nitpick every little thing.
That
We would
means
probably-
citizens don't get to go on the shoreline to fish at certain different spots that they've always been allowed to. Not for taking away their right to do that.
And you've got a lease. In your lease, you can say that they have the right to walk on there and just like they do right now, nothing changes
You can
except the
still-
way,
yeah, you can
except
write
the
it.
fee structure.
Different topic though, different time.
Yeah, let's.
Tim, we haven't heard your input yet. What do you think?
I don't think a whole lot about this. I think that we're missing a whole lot of data. I know that Kelly asked the people for exactly what we asked you to get, Kelly. I'm not trying to put it off on you. I wish that we would, I wish we had more information. And like you said, we keep chasing that around.
I'm not trying to be rude either, but
I understand.
I feel frustrated because I have gone on a data hunt and I just get kicked back every time.
I know.
Well, I'll say what I said a few weeks ago. I don't buy clothes for myself, obviously, but let's just ask Jim, what does it cost for you to buy a pair of jeans to do your job?
$50 is usually what I spend for a pair of jeans. And there is chemicals out there that will eat those.
Sure.
How many pairs do you think you go through in a year?
I don't know, we had 11 with the contract. And the thing with the contract was if we damaged them, if we lost weight, gained weight, got tar on them, whatever, they just swapped them out. There was no,
And how often would you say that that happened with you?
me personally,
Yeah.
I bet 2 or 3 times a year at least I would have to swap out jeans because there are chemicals at work, or like when we would go chip seal, you get a lot of tar on them. Once you get tar on them, I mean, you're not getting it all. And a lot of times we wouldn't even ask for them to replace them. They would see that they were ripped or covered in tar or whatever, and they would just swap you out.
So on a
Hard to
high
chip seal on
side,
our streets
on the
and
high
alleys.
side, at least 3 times a year,
AWOL for 8 months.
buying jeans. And current price are roughly $50.
I've lived there my whole life.
Do
So
what?
if you did
I've lived there my whole
300,
life,
that gives them
not
an
just the last
opportunity
year,
not only to
so.
get jeans, but to get a good pair of shoes that will last them. Shirts, if they wanted to buy them, you know, that's up to them. I mean, we don't want them running around bare chested, but you know, they gotta have it. I don't have a problem with none of that.
Split the difference and go 400 and just do it 400 every year.
We could start out with that and see.
Then they get what they want. They've got enough to flex. And once they have established, they get that every year and can refill as needed.
Right. In some years they won't refill at all, but that's, you know, the way it goes. That's not any different than paying a lease on them every year and we're not getting an exchange if that were to happen too. So same thing.
Yeah.
But the city, the point is the city will save a little bit of money in that.
And the guys still get the gear they need.
And
And they have more say in what gear they get.
so 2 or 3 of you will still be on the board 3 years from now. And 2 of you might be gone. You know, all 5 of you might be on the board next year. But I mean, the next election. So I would say do it for this year, for 2024 and 2025, and then revisit it in 2026. That's my
And
suggestion.
we'll have a chance to talk to the guys and see how it goes.
Yes.
I move to provide a $400 allowance per maintenance employee. So Jim, Mike, Barry, per year for the next 2 years. Do we have to put the timeline on there?
I think that's fine. I mean, you could change it. The same council could change it too.
Right.
I mean,
We
it's
are
just,
aware.
yeah.
Yeah.
We could reduce it.
Well, this just prevents us from holding up future councils to the decision.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Annie to approve $400 a year clothing allowance to the full-time maintenance personnel. Seconded by Jason for the years 2024 and 2025. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Motion passes 4-1. Cell phones. Also in your package, you'll have something about cell phones. I have never had one of these phones personally, but I don't know which one would be the best of any of them. I've never used those.
Throw something out here.
Sure.
I meant to ask my son when he was in here. He uses something called Mint Mobile, and he has the premium plan. I think he pays $25 a month. You supply your own phone. He has great service, and they live in a hole north of town. I don't know if you know where Wildcat Hollow Road is,
Is that what Dad uses?
where Nathan and Jenny
Jen
live.
used to, I think, Walmart.
But
That's what.
Mint Mobile, $25 a month, bring your own phone.
What it might have.
Just throwing that one out there.
I thought the idea was so that they wouldn't have to use their own phone. They'd have a dedicated phone number.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
But you said bring your own phone.
Well, we buy the phone.
The city
That's
supplies
on
the
Oh,
phone.
the city buys a phone. All right. That would be any phone if we could buy one.
Yes, so you can get the same, just like on the breakdown here, of your own phone costing $40 and up or whatever. And we don't need fancy phones with all the bells and whistles. We just need something, talk, text, take pictures.
It's just one phone we're going for, right? Because Clay and Robin don't want one. So it's just
It's up to you
Aspen.
guys. I got group
When-
pricing on there.
When did they say they didn't want one?
Kelly said at the last meeting that
Yeah.
Clay and Robin said that they didn't,
They don't.
that they felt a need because they didn't get that many phone calls. So
They're not
that
really
left
on
just
call.
Aspen.
Well, I know they're not on call. Well, I know that people that call me at the house want to know how to get a hold of Robin. And I tell them to call City Hall and Kelly can put a note in Robin's box is what I tell them.
The point is they don't need to get a hold of Robin at 2 o'clock in the morning because the dog is
Well,
barking out the window.
They shouldn't be. That's right.
That's why Aspen needs one, because she does need to respond to maybe.
Well, if they don't want a phone, I guess that's okay.
City.
If it becomes a problem that
You're talking
Lake
about
residents are trying to get hold of
maintenance.
Robin and
No,
she
they were
can't get
never
them
brought
called
up.
back, that's another scenario. Same with Clay, but I don't think that's happening currently.
Well, if Robin's personal phone is cleared and able to take messages, I don't have a problem with that either.
Is Robin still here?
I don't know.
No.
Have we talked about doing that for emergency contact for city maintenance stuff?
Well,
No.
I thought that's one of the reasons we're getting that too, for that reason.
No, it was not brought up when we brought up the cell phone
Couldn't remember.
conversation.
We had.
I'm sorry, will you repeat that question?
Have we talked about getting a cell phone for emergency contact for city workers? For like the city maintenance guys with a water leak or a gas leak or something in the middle of the night. So the on-call guy would have the phone.
So if there's a gas leak in the middle of the night, 911 actually gets that phone call and they have the contact information for our maintenance workers to get a hold of it. So that's already
Sort
in
of.
place. Yes.
Sort of.
That's the way it's supposed to be,
Uh-huh.
right?
Oops.
Gas leak.
I was delivering
urgent.
in dispatch when they were trying to figure out who to call in the middle of the night.
They should have that
For gas.
information, so maybe they just need a refresher.
But it was in Harveyville, which is why.
Well, they were probably trying to figure out who then.
Yeah.
But no, we didn't bring up city maintenance having a phone of any kind when we brought this entire topic up.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
So are we just down to one phone then? Is that what's happening? Because I don't think, Clay says he carries several phones already. He's not up for that.
So
I don't think he needs to be called outside business hours, really. And Robin would only be for like stuff, not her maintenance position.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be calling it for that.
So you're looking at one phone then for Aspen? Is that the deal?
Sounds like it.
And you guys had previously approved
Up to 200. Is that what it was?
yeah, to purchase a phone for the dog catcher costing up to $250 with a monthly plan costing up to $35
So
on April 8th.
If you guys are interested in Mint Mobile, I have the details there.
go on, shoot him out there.
Basically it boils down to $25 a month. I don't hang close on all those other details, but you may. And if you swipe it to the left, there's another page. Like I said, my son has that and they live in a bad spot. I have T-Mobile and I don't have service at his house, but he has great service. He says he has great service anywhere he goes.
It does say it's an introductory rate, so I wonder. Oh,
Yeah.
$15 introductory, $25 normal. So that's nice.
That might be the way to go then.
Doesn't take a contract. Yeah, I don't mind that stuff at all.
That's something else I've been meaning to tell you about for 3 weeks now.
Yeah, that she did all that work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, US Cellular and Walmart Straight Talk are the only ones inside the budget anyway.
It's my understanding that you can go to Walmart and grab one of those $50 phones off the shelf and hook up with these people. 15 for whatever the introductory time. Maybe 3 months.
I'd say that's the way to go then.
We've already approved mine, so
Yeah.
That sounds good.
who's gonna get the phone though? Physically go pick up the phone.
We can ask Aspen.
Say that again?
Aspen to pick it up.
So you can pick out a different color.
There you go.
Yeah,
Good, sounds good.
do we have a motion?
We don't need a motion. We already
Yeah.
approved it.
We already.
So
Just
I
direct
guess we're
Aspen and go get a cheap phone.
picking out mid-level.
Because we've approved 250, I don't think that she needs to go pick out a $200 phone.
Well, I agree with that, yeah. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Okay, law enforcement.
That was just on here.
Do we just continue?
Yes.
Okay. I did do a little research. Mill levy's a lot more complicated, so I'm still gathering data there. It's like a whole science degree to understand, I feel like, but.
You know what a mill is worth.
No, yeah, we did get that information. So what I want to do is break it down. I thought Justin did that, but I don't think he had that information.
That was actually me that did
Was
that
that you?
information.
I would like
the
that.
county clerk.
Yeah. We're gonna talk to
Dolly just
Abby.
keeps saying Justin and it was me.
Okay. Sorry. I don't mean to not give you credit where credit's due, I guess.
You're Justin too?
He
That makes three of us.
didn't even know. So we're working on the mill levy information so we can give people an estimate. I
Mill
did.
Here is $1,933.
Yes, and I do have that. I just want to apply it to what people would pay yearly for the value of a house. So 50, 100,000, whatever.
Well,
Anyway.
it depends. So let's say a person has a rundown house that is a particular person that you're hiring
What?
The cops for is going to pay considerably less than say Tim Wines or Terry or even you.
Okay, let me actually say what I was going to say though. So I did look into the current sales tax, and obviously Kansas is 6.5, Wabaunsee 1.5. We don't have any control over those. So that puts us at 8% minimum. Eskridge has a 1% special sales tax. We all know that. It's good for a 10-year period, so we don't lose that till 2030, April of 2030. That puts our current sales tax rate at 9%. So for a rough, I wrote these down. Shit, sorry. Oops, sorry. Topeka's 9.35%. Burlingame's 8.5%. Every large city around us is just barely above 9%. And some of them were actually lower. Oh, Emporio is 8.5%.
Some portions of Topeka are 9.75,
Well,
like Watermaker Road, for example.
that's not what I found when I looked it up, but
Look on your sales receipt next time you buy something in Topeka. But anyway, go ahead.
no, that's interesting. I thought Topeka would be a general. Okay. Well, either way,
That's why Harlan Park is going.
so they do go up a little bit, obviously, but generally speaking, we're between 9 and 10%. If we added a 1% sales tax to pay for the officer, we would then be at 10%. I did get the numbers from Kelly about what we've gotten from the 1% sales tax. On 2021, we made $44,000. 22 was 37,000. 23 was 48,000. So it does flex a little bit. It's not very set. Obviously, whatever we buy or pick up in Eskridge comes to Eskridge. So there's a little flex in there. I have mixed feelings about a 1% sales tax just because I do feel like it also punishes people who can't necessarily leave town to go shopping. So people who are retired, who cannot transport themselves to town regularly to do that, or people like, I don't know, the nursing home that walk out every day and spend money in the grocery store. But at the same time, yeah, we do pick up people who buy gas on the way to the lake and stuff like that. So it's a mixed bag, but it does kind of punish the poorer residents of Eskridge as well. Whereas the mill levy is a one-time fee per year per household. Obviously, it's based on your assessed house value, not your, so it's not going to be outrageous.
Well, a mill levy also, just a tiny bit, a mill levy increase would hurt the poor more than it will hurt the people that are paying the mill levy itself.
I don't necessarily agree with that,
Well,
because if you're
because
poor, you have
You got all these,
cheaper house.
you got all these people renting. And
Yes, rental.
nobody's going to convince me that the homeowner is not going to raise their rental rates.
Yeah, but but across the board, it's not going to be an outrageous fee per month, per year, whatever. It's going to be a pretty minuscule amount of money if you're paying rent per month.
Okay, well, what kind of figures do you have for homeowners?
Again, I haven't done the mill levy figures
see.
yet,
Okay.
so I don't have that
I'm
data.
sorry, I thought you had that and you were leading up to it, so sorry.
No, I was just trying to share the research that I have gotten done in the time that we had from the last two meetings. So we're working on mill levy though right now. June 1st, we'll have the new budget and we can actually get the current data for people to judge what they feel like would be a fairer thing. So
When's our cutoff to actually get this on a ballot if we need to?
September 3rd.
September 1st. But
Sorry, from my understanding then is one mill would generate us $1,933. So in order to get up to 33,000 to pay for a cop, like, wouldn't that be like almost like 17 mills to get that money?
no, I don't think that's how it works at all.
That's spread out. Like, I mean, you got to talk about population, do you? I mean,
Yeah, it's not.
how many people are paying the mill levy rate?
Well, they should be able to figure that out just based on the current base that we have.
You want to know the real way?
They
to pay
have
for
that data. That's not the hard part. The hard part is our budget. We have to have certain numbers from the budget. That's what figures
Well,
some of this stuff.
yeah, because you're going to do revenue neutral rate, and you're going to get a number, and you have to resolve to go above that to do it, which means that you're signaling you're going to increase real estate taxes. But the way that everybody else does it is, not everybody else, but the way you do it is you increase your rates on utilities and transfer the money from the utilities to your general fund and pay for it. Charge more for gas, charge more for water, you charge more for.
We can't do that. We just raise gas 2%.
Raise
Gas?
what? We haven't
haven't
raised
touched
gas.
gas.
We haven't raised gas yet at all.
I don't think we
From
were
11 to 2050. Do the math. What percentage is that? From $11 to 2050. We argued this before because everybody's like, oh no, just to be clear, we're not raising it. This, da, da, da.
Everybody
And
was
we
me
did.
saying that actually.
I
So you
wasn't
can be
saying a name.
specific.
I
You
was
can be
speaking in
specific.
general.
I'm the one that pointed it out.
And it ended up being almost 20% more than that, 65%.
That's how you get money to build plants, and that's how you get money to transfer. I'm just saying that's if the mill levy and the tax, real estate tax is a tough haul, then you're down to, and you can't, you're above your limit on sales tax. That's where the money comes from. That's it.
If we raise dock fees and everybody paid $1,200 a year for dock fees, we'd have like $400,000, and 50 of that could immediately
So the
budget
lake
authority
pays for our
into
law
a full
enforcement
time.
instead.
No, our rental properties, our rental that they're renting,
They're
the
capped at
lease.
10 rentals.
No, you're not listening.
He's talking about the fees that they pay us for renting space on city.
Exactly. So you're using what you have to make money to actually make money. You take care of the $50,000 cop in one fell swoop. You budget authority another $150 into the general fund, and you leave the lake with $200,000 instead of the $66 they're making right now. So win-win all the way around, and it takes care of all of it. Todd's even shaking his head in agreement.
Yeah.
Boom, done. Wouldn't have to worry about any of this at all.
I don't think a water increase was outrageous when we hadn't done one in 21 years. It's a normal part of
But we
running
almost
a
doubled it.
city.
We did it 82%, and you were saying we weren't even doing it 65, and it
It
turns out it was
doesn't matter. Her
82.
point, her point is well taken.
We
It's been
can
20
argue
years
it if
since
you
the
want,
rate
but
increase. If you'd raised the rates every single year for the last 20
It was
years,
only raised
you'd be
3
paying
times at the
more.
lake.
You'd be
in a
paying more than
25-year
what they're
period.
paying.
and
So
I'm
it's
not
like it
against
was-
raising rates in any of these areas, but I don't think you need to go from 0 to 60 in 1 second. It's possible to stair step people up.
Right.
Mm.
It's a lot easier to do it every year than it is once every 10 or 15 years.
We
Or
make
just
the rates
gets
what we're
20.
gonna rent it for. We can do what we choose to do.
Now, you know, when you say $1,200 a month for dock fees, or what about their fire pits and sidewalks and?
No, a year.
Oh, you said a month.
I'm sorry. I'm
It
sorry.
would break
I did-
down to $100 a
a month.
month.
So what about their sidewalks and their fire pits and their gazebos?
That's an extra $190
Yeah,
structure
see,
fee.
that's, now you're getting crazy.
See, I don't think so.
I think if you charge everybody out there at that lake $1,200 a year,
That's
they can put we don't have Robin out there checking and see how many fire pits they got. You don't know it.
Except
Yeah.
now everybody's gonna have, the shoreline's gonna be littered with whatever that people want. They could have 10 different things on the shoreline.
But
then-
you know
But
what,
if you
Brad?
have
You know
somebody
what?
like
I mean,
we just
No, we s-
had, where we've now got 5 different items on their property that we're charging for, and this has been what, 4 meetings ago. We're now charging that's $500 a month for that person. They don't pay per month; they pay per year. So
And Todd, is it not correct that if we had the lease, we can control what they put on that property?
Exactly.
Well,
Am I not correct?
we already have a lease. I mean, that's what,
I'm just
Judge-
saying,
Judge
I'm
Allen
just saying,
says,
just
yeah.
because we change it to a flat fee of $1,200 a year, we can limit them to 1 fire pit, 1 gazebo, 1 sidewalk, 1 this, 1 that. So you're not going to have 5,000 fire pits on somebody's property. That's my point. You control the lease. Your lease also says that people should be allowed to walk the shoreline and fish.
there's no material distinction between a written lease at this point and what you got, which is, that's what I mean. Judge Allen specifically said it's a quasi lease. I mean, that's what we have. That's the relationship we have with the residents. They have only the rights that we give them, and it's not a written lease like you get at an apartment complex, but it is conditioned, and you guys can change the conditions because there is no year-to-year right that somebody has to use the property as they wish. You guys can stop some people from using the property and other people, putting.
I mean, and like I
extras
said, like they're lifted $25,000-$30,000 by those docks by just paying a simple $190 fee a year to us, and it increases their property value $25,000-$30,000. That's a fact. They pay taxes on those docks as well. I'll have to get the info from Stephanie again, but she had it broken down because, like when I had asked you before, you didn't think that was actually you paid taxes on the actual dock, but the way that Stephanie broke it down for me, economic development, you actually do. I can't remember what it's called on the line item there, but you actually do get taxed for it. So I'll bring that in.
Well, it's part of your total valuation.
Right. So for $190, they're getting an extra $25,000-$30,000 valuation on their property taxes, which who do you do the math? Who do you think's getting the better deal? It's definitely not us. Never has been.
yeah, I would love to have ownership of the lake, the taxes off. That would be probably enough to really solve our problems.
Well, that's what the
budget-wise,
county
but-
has done. They've taken that part.
And that's
Exactly.
what
There's
we
a
need to
statute.
do. We need to take a page from the county. They're making money. We need to be making money.
because of the home value.
Allow you guys to do a levy out there.
Yes, sir.
Could I make a
Let's just say
public,
those home values wouldn't be worth it if it wasn't connected to our shoreline that's connected to the lake.
Yeah, maybe
That very
the Flint
big
Hills are a
piece
big
of-
deal these days.
They would be building it there without that lake. You know that.
my public comment would be, I remember a few months ago, somebody from Flint Hills Regional Council was here and did a study. What's the future of Eskridge as far as economic development? And as I recall, their number one item was development of Lake Wabanza. I don't know that they meant raising the rates on everything that's there already, but what about your North Shore? Well, look at all the acres you've got up there that are undeveloped. If you really need to raise money, is that an opportunity?
But why would you want to develop the specialness of the lake that's undeveloped? Nobody wants to come in to the middle of the Flint Hills and see a bunch of developed area. They want to come here and appreciate it in its natural state. That's the part of the
He doesn't mean, I think, in
Yeah,
the way.
I'm
Lake-
saying if
our
your
lake isn't
goal
that
is to
big.
raise money,
It can
why
still be
turn a
nice.
blind eye to that? I think you have trade-off. You either have pristine pasture land or you use it to raise money.
We have a way to raise
Opening
money
a
instantly
seat
for us
outside
right
that.
now. We're just not taking advantage of it.
All right, we're really off topic.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted
So
to
we need more
share the
information.
research.
We need more information.
Right,
on the
it's an
mill levy.
ongoing. We're not
Yeah.
there yet, obviously.
Let's continue the law enforcement discussion at each meeting until we make a decision. So, if you would
Sounds
please.
good. Working on it, trying to understand it. If you got other ideas, I will be happy to research
Abby
them
really helped me
also.
if you
Abby is gonna help us. Well, she's gonna help Kelly. I'm hoping to be involved in that process as well, because I would like to understand it better, because revenue neutral rate is confusing and mill levy is confusing enough when you start breaking it down to apply it. But
just to clarify all my information I've got on it.
I
has
know.
been from Abby.
yeah. She's a wonderful resource.
Okay. So time for council concerns.
I've got some. Can we please start having a lake meeting again instead of having every meeting being a lake meeting?
I would love that.
Can we do that again?
I
Why did
would
it stop?
love it.
I asked Kelly and she said somebody just brought that up to me and I questioned it as well. Can we start putting that back on the second Monday of
problem
the
that-
month?
The reason why it's left the way that it is because when people are selling their house and doing stuff, they can't get things into us in a timely fashion, and they don't want to have to wait those extra 2 weeks.
I think we can make
So
exceptions,
We've bent
but
over backwards
we've
to allow it to be the
been
way that it is.
letting it take over the meeting because we're putting it in department reports, like it's dragging the meeting.
I agree. I think all lake stuff should be talked at the lake meeting.
Can we do that again? Is everybody on board with that? I'd like to stop talking about it all the time.
I don't have a problem with like people making a sale on their property and just needing a dock transfer or something
Dock transfers
in
are,
between.
well, they've gotten more complicated, but they used to be.
But there's
But
also
everything
a
else, I
time
think, yeah.
frame that they should have followed to get it into Kelly beforehand. I mean, it's only days, like 4 days. If they would get it in 4 days earlier, they could every time be on the thing. So, I mean, they really have to be dropping the ball to be not getting their stuff in on time. Because
they're
noon on Friday is the cutoff, isn't it? Or is it noon Monday?
Friday.
They're
Noon
all,
Friday.
they're also at the mercy of the buyer
Yeah.
to
So
some extent on that.
I just brought up that I would like meeting back again.
So lake meetings used to be the
City meeting, lake
second
meeting.
meeting of the
Are you on
month.
board with that?
Yes.
Or you don't care?
Don't table things.
It's hard to do
One
that during the
meeting.
summer.
I know it
There
is,
you
but I feel
Make
like
decisions.
we're being taken over at this point and we're not having time to properly
We're talking about law
discuss.
enforcement.
We've basically got off onto the dock conversation and mill levy conversation went kind of.
Yeah,
We're waiting more information on
Yeah.
the mill levy.
I'm gonna get part of that again.
Just to fast forward.
So with that thought in mind, you want to do the law enforcement then in the first meeting in June,
Yeah, we could do that for more
and not
research
and
time.
not the.
And we should
not
have the actual
28th.
numbers by then, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. We'll
What
see.
else do we
So
table
I need to
that
tell
day?
Mr. Brown,
28th,
29th.
29th.
didn't
Yes.
you say the first meeting in June will be the lake meeting?
No,
No,
the
it'd
second
be the law
meeting is
enforcement.
Okay,
Law
gotcha.
enforcement would be in June.
And that doesn't mean we have to bump all of our topics to the first meetings either, just
Well, I mean, we want to try to keep them in the right spot if possible, right?
ish. It should all be city.
The idea sounds good on paper, but there's a lot of times where we have to discuss
I'm
certain
okay.
lake issues on the first meeting of the month.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that
That's
sometimes,
still-
but it's
yeah,
like
limiting.
overwhelming right now. I feel like, don't you feel? I don't know.
It takes up half of Eskridge's meeting on a
It's
regular.
obnoxious. The other thing is, I would really like us to consider bumping Jim and Mike's wages up again because we just hired and with no experience, no
No
certifications, at a wage that is above what Mike was making in November before I pressed for a $2 raise.
I don't think we hired anybody with certifications ever. I think we certified
And we didn't
them.
hire them for more than the
That's fine.
So that
supervisor
isn't
was
anything
making.
different than somebody else
Well,
coming in.
still,
Um,
we
I mean,
hired somebody at a higher
You started the
rate.
new wage, basically doing that. And in my opinion, you've just changed how our process was working. I didn't want to hire somebody
I
at
don't
22.
think so. I mean, I'll go with Alma.
Absolutely.
Alma's done the same thing. They hired a person
We're not Alma.
considerably higher than, but we're always comparing ourselves to it.
Well, don't
That's
point
where
at
we're
me.
getting-
I'm not always comparing us to
I mean,
Alma.
We aren't Alma because we definitely don't look like Alma. Let's put that there. And I mean, as far as no qualification, I mean, what qualifications did you want? Barry to have?
Certifications.
What certifications did Jim have when we hired him?
And he
What
was
did
hired
Larry
at
have?
1350.
But he was hired at a lower rate.
That was 8 years ago, wasn't it?
Exactly.
8 years,
Yeah.
8.5 years ago. What are you,
So
almost 9?
So we've got a new guy that we hired on and higher than we've
Than
got
even
certified employees
Jim's
working.
working.
If you had a new employee
and
working at
even
the store that
Jim
you got
also
hired
gets
in,
an extra $8,000 for us to cover his family health plan, and Barry Driggs doesn't have us that cost.
yeah.
Yeah.
So no,
What happens in 6 months when his wife has a car accident and she loses her job and her insurance?
I don't know.
God forbid that happens, but he's going to walk in the door and he's going to get
Example
family
one.
insurance.
Examples.
And there's no way we can stop that
Employees-
if we offer it.
Some employees would have $1, $2, $3, $4 more an hour raise if we weren't told not to give raises multiple times
See, but we've
to
had
certain employees.
no hesitation.
We never ourselves decided not to give an employee a raise. We were always directed to not do that. It was never us not ever trying to keep a single employee from ever having a raise. We were always directed. Tim,
That is true.
Directed by who? What are we talking about?
who would be the directing? Like
It wasn't the clerk.
Supervisor? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? I'm just like not
Well,
reading
we
between
just
the lines, I
We
guess.
You don't need to if you were to pay attention last meeting that he brought it up. Were you in the last meeting?
no, but I
No,
brought
my
it up.
tab was spiking 104.5 temperature.
I brought it
so
up
we
like
went
He's brought
back
this
to
up
times.
many times.
Because we are
He
getting blamed
knew.
for not giving accurate raises to employees when we have been told not, when we have been told to
Have I-
overlook those raises multiple years. And I don't think right now, because we were told multiple years to not do those raises, we should suddenly just make up for that. That doesn't negate why they weren't getting the raise in the first place.
I'm not discussing the raises in the past. I'm talking about the fact that we've
What I'm
hired on a
saying-
new employee. I understand exactly what you're saying.
See, that has
Mhm.
I don't see the problem in hiring them $22 an hour.
I do when
I
Mike
do.
made less than that, less than 6 months ago. I absolutely have a problem with that.
Well, the reality is we couldn't get anybody to even entertain the idea.
That's
of-
not even true. We had 3 applications that we were about to interview in the following week.
We had an applicant that wanted to work for us for $16 an hour, and nobody wanted to hire him. And he actually lived in the city limits of Eskridge. Something that you even told me was going to be almost hard to damn near impossible to find. Yet we found it, $16 an hour.
You're
Totally
right.
passed it
We
up.
waited too
That
long.
person went to the state.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, sorry, it is not even the time to give raises to employees. That's like in September at their yearly evaluation. That's going by our employee handbook, which, by the way, have the employees sign the handbook?
I don't know.
Jim, have you signed the handbook, the employee handbook?
I'm not legally liable to do that.
Todd, is that accurate?
You don't have to sign it. You're not required to. It's not a contract.
It's a handbook.
It's a handbook. It's
guidance.
bound by.
Are we required to clock in and out so that we can cover?
Jim, are you clocking in?
Yes, ma'am.
How many weeks have you been clocking in and out? Because for the last year, you've refused to clock in and
No,
out.
no, he hasn't
Terry?
for the last year. He actually
He-
clocked
he-
in
he
until
He asked the
recently.
question.
Can I answer this?
Let him answer the question, yes.
Barry asked us to clock in for 90 days to try it, and that we would readdress it at the end of that 90 days. I clocked in, and I was the only one, mind you, out of the general maintenance guys to clock in for 90 days. At the end of that 90 days, no one ever came back to me to readdress that. So I quit clocking in. About a week or so ago, I got a text from Mike that said Terry would like me to start clocking in again. And I did. And I have been ever since. So you need to check your facts.
I have been bringing it up here for well over a year that you haven't been
Really? Have you
clocking.
brought it to me?
No, but I brought it
And
in
I don't
executive
think this is a
session
conversation we
to
should be having.
You can share executive
Because it's
session.
to
members
other
and
people,
other
and they brought it to
I
my.
agree. I agree. Hold
Not
on.
him.
Hang on. Hang on.
Yeah,
I agree with what you're saying, Jim.
Thank you.
But I also want you to know that you weren't the only one that was told to start clocking in at the beginning of the pay period that started April 27th. So if somebody is not clocking in, that's for me to address with them. But don't.
That wasn't the part I was getting. The
I know, I'm
90
just
day
saying.
thing was the thing I was talking about.
I understand.
I was the only one that did the 90-day thing.
Right.
And
well,
nobody
and
got
all this time talking to you, Terry, I've never heard you say anything about a 90-day thing.
Well, it sounds like a
Yeah.
miscommunication to me.
However,
So, Terry,
I
did you
have
tell him
brought
90
it
days?
up.
'Cause it sounds like-
Have I brought
Actually,
it up to you, Michelle?
My
To you,
memory of
Andy,
it
to
is
the
that I
rest
told
of you?
Mike
I
we'd give it
have.
6
And you guys
months.
have not
And we
decided that
that's what
you
I,
should.
that's my memory of it. is
Your
that I
memory-
told, I don't care. I'm
It's
69
not-
years old. My memory might be gone.
It's not written down anywhere that specifies
You're
that.
exactly
so that's
right.
very
It's
frustrating.
not written down anywhere.
It's not fair to them.
And
either.
it's not fair to us either to say it didn't happen, right? Can you agree to that?
But if
Can you
if
agree to
it's
that?
based on their job,
If you want me
I'm
to
sorry,
say,
don't answer for me.
I'm answering for you because you're not answering the question. Don't tell me that it's not fair for me to question whether I told him 90 days or 6 months just because he says it was 90 days. That's what you're saying.
But his job is the one that's dependent on this information, not yours. So it's a much bigger deal.
What do you
if
mean his
he's
job dependent?
incorrect.
What do you mean his job dependent?
Well, didn't
on?
you, or did you not tell them that if they didn't follow the handbook, they'd be fired?
When did I say that?
I'm pretty sure you
I'm
just
pretty
told
sure
it to
I'd
Mike
never
a week
t-
ago.
That I told Mike he'd be fired if he didn't follow the handbook?
Yeah.
No, I did not. I did not. Were you there?
No, I was
You
not.
haven't-
Actually, I tried to be present at his meeting for him, and you didn't bother to schedule that meeting.
Who didn't?
You.
Terry sat down
Okay.
here for several hours the night of bingo.
And
waiting for Jim to
Mike
show
told
up.
him the day before that Jim could not meet with him on Friday.
Mike did not tell me that.
He did.
And how did he tell me? Tell me how he told me.
In person, I assume.
No, he didn't talk to me in person.
Then text message.
And I have every text message I sent to Mike, every single
Well,
one, and every reply that he sent back. The last reply I got from him was that
Scroll back
Annie
then.
Annie. The first remark was Jim says he does not want to have a meeting with me without Mike being there.
No,
because
he
he-
asked for a
I-
third party.
He
to be
asked for.
present.
I'm telling you what Mike told me. All right.
Scroll
I
back.
would like to address one thing though. Jim, when you said that he didn't check with you for any facts, we have all been directed not to speak to you. We're supposed to go
By
through
who?
Mike. By Mike, the superintendent,
Mm.
because he doesn't want us micromanaging. And I understand that.
No, Mike didn't want
He's
that.
your boss, not us. So that's why we speak to Mike about you. So if we're getting bad information, I can't help that. But we're directed to not speak to you. So your earlier comment that you made about, well, nobody's going to ask me. That's why.
Well, I want to move on. I want to say this before I do anything else. I sent Mike a text mail asking him and Jim to be at this meeting tonight at 7:00. My intent at 7:00 was to put them on the agenda to talk to them in executive session. Jim nor Mike was here at 7:00.
Actually, Jim told Kelly that he would be here at this meeting tonight, but that he was running a few minutes late. He didn't actually have childcare, so he
Well,
still
I didn't
made it.
get the message.
Nobody talked to me about them being here until I talked to Jim and he said he was gonna be running late.
I only knew I had to be there an hour before.
So I didn't think it was an issue since nobody brought it up to me.
Okay. And Mike was working. Yeah, more, Terry.
Yeah, what I wanted to say was I'd still like to have an executive session since Jim is here, with Jim present. That was what I was going to do on the agenda earlier. If you guys want to do it, we'll entertain it. If you don't, we'll postpone it again.
I'm going to have an executive session for non-elected personnel for 10-15 minutes. Terry?
To convene back
Uh,
at this
10.
location.
10.
10 minutes.
10 minutes starting at 9:45.
I'll second.
Commencing at 9:50. This location, discuss employees with present or to be called in.
With Jim present.
Okay.
It's fine.
And who else? Not me?
Yes, you.
Okay. Which personnel you gonna say?
And let us know when our 10 minutes is up, would you please?
Do you have a second?
Yes, it's been seconded.
Okay.
Tim did.
Those in favor? Those opposed? Those abstaining? Okay.
Get the key.
You shouldn't
Executive
have to raise your
session
hand for an abstention.
Did she-
approved
did-
4-0.
Did Michelle abstain?
Yes, she abstained. Is that, yeah, that little door shut. Here's it
I'm
just,
getting up early to
yeah,
go
boy.
to-
All right.
Hold on. That's still running.
Oh, tell me when.